everyone. Welcome. And thank you to Good Ads Matter for pulling off the impossible. I don't think this has ever happened. For the first time it's happening. Producers, Roundtable, the advertising producers, the best of the who's who of Indian advertising is here. My favoritist people in the whole advertising process, the producers. And I think they're the most uncelebrated lot, and I do not know why. Nobody knows what they bring to the table. In my opinion, they're the most awesomest, most mature, most fun, most human, confidence. Man, you can just go talk to them, man. And I think it's across like I used to tell this to my creative team. I don't care if you're speaking to the director, dude. Please speak to the producer. He is your man or she is your man, a woman. She's the main person or he's the main person. The producer can pull off everything. Usko chahiye to he can get anything done. So I'm more interested in discovering the producer today. So first is Cyrus.
Hi.
Everybody knows Cyrus from Corcoys. Over here it says Cyrus, the strategic and logistical mastermind behind some of the most iconic ads, is the co-founder of Corcoys Films with nearly 25 years alongside Prasoon and over 400 films shot worldwide. He is a true luminary in the advertising industry. Awesome.
All lies.
Yeah, all live. All live.
Sounds heavy, yeah? I like
Very
it.
heavy. Yeah.
But it sounds deadly.
Yeah.
But Cyrus, I want you to tell me, how did you start Corcoys? So what motivated you to start this?
If you ask me what motivated me to start Corcoys, I don't have much of an answer. Actually, the fact that I became a producer, also I don't have an answer. I'm a physics graduate and I was hoping to do engineering. I think I felt short of doing that because times were such that I needed to start working and somebody offered me a job in production and that's where I started. Post which...
Where was this?
I started in a company called Scenario, the picture company, followed by a company called Flirting Vision, and did production work for many, many years, before which I joined Highlight, after which I joined Highlight. And yeah, after that...
This was in which year?
That's about 30 years back. I did about 5 years of production in Highlight where I met Prasoon. When we both worked together for probably about 4 or 5 years, we decided that it's about time we kind of do something by ourselves. And that's how Corcoys was born.
Why Corcoys?
Actually, that's a term given by Prasoon's daughter, and it more comes from the fact that he always felt that we should have a kind of a childish, fun name to the company rather than something which is corporate or which is very evidently about a film. He felt filmmaking was all about fun, and so might as well keep a name which is all about having fun.
Awesome, yeah, superb. I want to talk more, but there are lots of people here. So next in list over here is Khalil Bachu. Khalil Bachu, the creative force behind Off-Road Films. His Wix 1 in a Million campaign isn't just a success story, it's a legend with over 15 international awards to its name. Khalil's knack for storytelling has left its mark on global giants. Awesome, Khalil. So you tell me your story. How did it start? Off-road. Before off-road, what? Just give me your full journey.
Before off-road, I worked for a company called Red Ice Films. Gary and Shujit.
They had like some 16 showreels.
They did at one point in time. And
1 kilo used to come.
And that's where and multiple DVDs.
Yeah.
So that's where I became a producer, and I started to produce for Navdeep Singh. And
this was in the year?
This was 2006.
And before that?
And before that, I was on the client side. I was 6 years with Johnson & Johnson, handling 2 beauty brands called Neutrogena and Clean and Clear.
So you also told people to increase supers.
I also...
Make the logo bigger.
I was a super client, man. I was such a good client. And I had a very good friend who owned a company, a film production company in Prague, which is where I was based out of. And I went up to him and I said, can I work with you? And he said, yeah, sure. It'll be fun. And so I did that for 2 months. And then I moved to Bombay.
And started off-road.
And worked at Red Ice. Then worked as a co-producer on a feature and then started off-road films.
So at off-road, who were your partners? I mean, at that time?
At that time, no partners. It was just me. I set it up on my own.
No directors, nothing?
Yeah, at that stage, no directors.
So you were working with all freelance directors and just getting them on board for a project and then start, wow.
Yeah.
And this is?
That's how we started, 2011.
2011. Superb. Next, we have Dharam Walia. Dharam, co-founder and executive producer at Hungry Films. Before Hungry Films, Dharam has worked with a few of the top agencies, including Ogilvy, culminating as the head of digital strategy with a knack for creating campaigns that resonate deeply. Dharam's work is nothing short of magical. Awesome, Dharam. Dharam, sorry.
ये करम है.
Yes, Dharam. So, Dharam, tell me
Yes.
more than this card.
Spent 2 decades in advertising in different agencies. Started in servicing. Started with Lintas used to have a very small agency called SSCNB, if anybody remembers back in
What
the
is it
day.
called?
SSCNB.
SSCNB.
In Lower Parel. So started my career there, worked there for about 5-6 years. From there to McCann and then Ogilvy, I was there for almost a decade. After spending 2 decades in advertising, there was a thought that one should try and do something different. And while being in advertising, this was the most exciting thing one could sort of experience. And I was always curious to understand this business, how it runs, because I think it's a great mix of business acumen and a creative instinct. And production companies who sort of worked through the years, I think they've managed both these things really, really well. For me and my partner Vijay, both of us were in Ogilvy and we quit and we started Hungry 10 years ago, and Mahesh has just joined us a couple of years ago. So that's the ride. That's how it's
So
been.
you named it Hungry because you were
Honestly,
hungry
it was there was not too much thought put in it. It was just a random word, and you can give gyan to retrospective gyan to anything. So, I mean, but the idea was good work actually keeps you hungry to see more, watch more, want more. So that was a bit of a thought there.
So it's now 10 years.
It's been just
2000?
about 10 years, yeah, last month.
Oh, awesome, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Superb.
Thanks, thank you.
So next we have Priyanka Bangia. Meet Priyanka Bangia, the powerhouse behind Loudmouth Films, where she orchestrates cinematic magic with finesse. Priyanka's knack for storytelling is as bold and loud as her company's name suggests. Yes, you tell us more.
Yeah. My journey actually began as a director. I was directing promos at MTV. That's where actually I know Swadha from. I was assisting her husband then, Parag. He used to be a director in the promos department. Worked there for like 6 years. Got kind of done with promos. Wanted to
This
move
was
into
which year, roughly?
2000. I've been working for a long time. Then did a short stint at Foot Candle Films as an AD to Rajesh Krishnan. After which I don't know why I kind of decided to move into production and not continue with direction. I don't think I would have made a better advertising director. I knew I would make a better advertising producer. Don't ask me why.
No, why?
And yeah, and then I joined RDP as a producer. That's why I worked there for 2 years. But this was back in the day where Ashit and we were all producing. Amol, Ashit, and I were the producers. Then moved on to Future East. Worked with Oshim Aluwalia for like 7 years, and then started Loudmouth in like 2017.
Loudmouth because?
Because of Akash Bhatia, not because of me. Because of my director, he chose this name, so I just went along with it.
Do you miss direction?
Uh, Sometimes, but I mean, for me, when I think MTV kind of spoiled us. You know, like I don't think I could have done
You had
advertising.
your fill.
No, I don't think I could have done advertising direction. It's very different
Okay,
from
yeah,
doing
yeah, that's
your,
very
you know, like I just had one creative director who I had to like go with a concept to. I was given a budget and I directed it was like total freedom. Advertising doesn't work like that, obviously. There's always a client that you're making a film for. I think that's the reason I kind of moved veered towards production.
So next we have Anand Menon. Anand, you will speak no today.
Yeah, done.
Meet Anand, and I am Calcutta alumni and the Maestro co-founder and producer at Early Man. Anand's campaigns are pure advertising gold, with accolades from Cannes to CNAD. He has redefined the ad game, bursting with some serious creative fireworks. He's a man who has turned his advertising into art, and we love it. So Anand,
Yeah,
welcome.
thank you.
Please tell your story.
So when I did my MBA by the end of the first year, I was pretty sure that corporate life is not where I wanted to end up. So
You also worked as a client, no? Sometime?
no, I didn't. Maybe in a sort of manner. But so what happened was that me and my two closest friends, drinking buddies, it was one of those college things. So sit and over a few drinking sessions, you figure out, okay, what do you want to do in life? So it started
This
off
was
with,
Bombay?
okay, no, in Cal. Yeah, said, okay, let's get some huge rock bands into India and organize shows. So harebrained idea, but sounded great. So we said, okay, we dropped out of placement, and
Rock bands?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Whoa.
and
Event?
yeah, this is way back in '95, and we started setting up the company, and then read this random news article which said Amitabh Bachchan starts a company in Bombay called ABCL, and one of the things they wanted to explore was event management. So we were sitting in Chennai, Madras in those
Miss
days.
World Times.
Yeah, this was right at the beginning when they started off. So we were sitting in Madras setting up our company, and we saw this and said, okay, let's write to them, let's go meet them. Maybe we can tie up in some way since these guys are starting off and we are starting off. Stupid ideas, but yeah, like the exuberance of youth in a way. So we wrote to them and we got a response immediately. Said, come to Bombay, meet us. So we went and we met Amitabh Bachchan. So he said, I mean, you can keep your plans in abeyance for a couple of years. Why don't you come and join me? Help me set up my company, and then So we said, yeah, okay, sounds like fun. Let's come. So we were staying together in one chamari, and we started doing that. It was fun for a few months, but then the oppression of Bollywood kind of
Irritated you.
got to all of us. And end of 1 year, I was clear, I wanted to move on. And my brother, he's been a director for a long time. So he had this company called Foot Candles in Chennai. So when I was just about done with Bombay, he was here in Bombay and we met for a drink and said, okay, we've never discussed working together, so maybe you could try that out. So I said, okay, I was
He's
easy
your
with...
older brother, no?
Yeah. So I was easy with, whatever. So I went to move to Madras, started work in Foot Candles in '96 as a producer. So that went on
And
for a
who
while.
were the directors at that time?
Just Manav.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And after a few years, we kind of moved to Bombay because we figured out
Who was the producer for Manav at that time?
me. There was just me and Manav, just two of us.
You were the first?
Yeah.
Okay.
We did some nice work in those days. There was a film for Aquafina. I don't know if you guys remember from
That
way back
What a
in
Body, What a
97.
Body.
Yeah.
Which is actually, I heard, was a copy of Mottamadi Mottamadi.
Was it?
Yeah.
Anand composed the track.
Mottamadi, Uru Love Jodi, which became What a Body, What a Body. I don't know if this is a rumor
But
or there's some
that-
hearsay stories on there.
That track was done by Anand. You remember Anand?
Yeah,
from-
Anand.
Anand, of course. Yeah.
He's still there.
So,
He's still there.
he
yeah,
just,
he's still
he just
around.
did a track for me last month. Yeah.
so we did that and then figured out, that you couldn't achieve much in sitting in Madras. It was a great life. You're living on the beach on ECR and great fun. But every time you had to post-produce, you had to come to Bombay, you had to shoot, you had to come here. So we decided to move. It was quite
So the Aquafina work was all shot in Chennai.
No, it was shot in Bombay, but it was operating from Madras. Then moved to Bombay. Terrible first couple of years. Like hated the city. Just couldn't get used to this concept of noise and small apartments but kind of made peace with it. And then first director on board after that was Rajesh Krishnan. So he was working in this channel called Before You, and we met and instantly kind of hit it off.
That's where the comedy kind of germ started.
Yeah. So I mean, inherently, he and I really hit it off quite well because I'm actually a funny guy. I might not look like that.
Please let us know.
Yeah, so that happened, and he did really well. And then a few years later came Vinil, and then came Ayappa, who I'd worked with Ayappa on. He was a writer at
So
Orchard. then.
Swada, you were also there
Yes.
that time. Okay.
Yeah. Swada, Priyanka, all Priyanka for a very short
From
while.
the
Swada
school
was
of
there for
Anand Menon.
School of Art.
We all-
Swada was
They're
there
all
for
small, same.
Yeah, we worked together for a very long time.
So I know he's a funny man.
I mean, that's what helps you keep your sanity. Otherwise, you go nuts.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so that happened, and then Ayappa came on board, and again did some
This
nice
is all
fun.
around 2014, no?
No, Ayappa 2009, if I remember.
yeah,
Yeah, and in about 3 or 4 years, Ayappa and I decided to, in 2013, to start Early Man Film. Okay, so did that, and the next director who came on board was Abhinav.
Which happened around 2015 types.
Yeah, 15. And yeah, so it's been fun still doing it. So that's it.
Superb. Next, Sneha. Sneha, IPE, no?
No, not pay.
Hype.
Hype, like as in hype.
Hype.
Like that.
It's a nice way of saying it.
The creative powerhouse at Nirvana Films. From Kerala roots to redefining storytelling in the ad world, she is truly a master. With Cannes, Spikes Asia, TEDx stages as her playgrounds, she's just not crafting commercials, she's shaping the advertising culture, folks. Welcome.
Oh, that's tall praise. Thank you.
Tell your story.
Story is, well,
Did the love story happen first? Or,
no, actually. Anyway, started in 2001. Nirvana started in 2001. I finished my mass comm at Sapphires in Bombay, and then worked at Highlight, where Cyrus
Cyrus.
was, yeah, with Srila and Mahesh. And then moved to Bangalore, joined Ogilvy, quit Ogilvy, started working
Servicing?
No, film department.
Okay.
Yeah. And then worked at VKP's office at Trends as a director.
Legend.
Yeah. So I used to direct for him. And at some point, figured that there was this quiet Malu boy sitting in the corner who had all these great ideas but wasn't communicative. So I said, that's your like solid potential. Come on, let's run away. So then we started Nirvana in 2001. We got married in 2003 because it made sense to keep the finances together. But yeah, no regrets. Then on, I produced 3 children and all is well.
So, like Priyanka, even you were
I used to direct. Sorry?
You were also directing and then you stopped.
That's
Why?
right. Why is a good question. I think somewhere like her, I figured that...
It's not your scene.
No,
Advertising is not your scene.
No, I could have very much stuck on and directed. I still feel like I have a latent director in me somewhere. And I think of myself
She's
as
nodding. Now she's like, yeah, dude, I want to.
Yeah. I think somewhere I think of myself as a creative producer. I'm not really a producer fully. I haven't really... It's very difficult for me to think finance and economics and legal and monies and all that. It doesn't come easily. But of the two of us, I felt that Verma had no clue about it. At least I could wing it. He was pathetic. So I said, okay, let me do this, the dirty work.
Save him.
Yeah, let me do the dirty work. So that's how it happened.
Awesome. What a ride. Billu. Legend Billu Sandhu, with over 3 decades of game-changing creativity under his belt as the founder of Cutting Edge Pictures. Known for his high-end productions and collaborations with renowned foreign directors, Billu is the maestro behind some of the most memorable commercials. Welcome, Billu.
Thank you. Just
I
one
want to clarify one rumor that I've heard. Just tell me if this is true. In the Dubai Shopping Festival, you won a Mercedes-Benz. And you went to receive that Mercedes-Benz.
Even I've heard this rumor.
And you won another Mercedes-Benz back-to-back.
This was way back in '98. I wonder if he can come after me now.
You won 2 Mercedes-Benz back-to-back.
That is the most
I did, yeah.
bizarre story.
What the?
How even?
Then why are you working on it?
I know.
We all ask him that question.
Because you need gas for the car.
Exactly, to upkeep the...
But
Nobody
Billu
sold
can
it there,
pull
no?
off anything. I have some stories, I'll tell him later.
That was a real funny trip that we went off for an ITC shoot to Cyprus. And Ashok Salian was shooting with me. And Ashok and me were at the Dubai duty free. And I was walking around this car and said, I just want to buy this raffle. And Ashok had one of the oldest Mercedes in town those days. So Ashok just laughs and says, if you win it, then I can put my car in the boot of this car and we can both go to meetings together. I just got one, came back. After a month, they called me to say, come, you won the car.
Wow.
And 2 days later, I go in there And when they fly me in, I just picked up another ticket for one of the other cars on the way in.
It's a hobby now.
And they, you go in there, it's a huge presentation. They make the whole thing for passengers to see what's happening. They give you a huge key, but they don't tell you how expensive it is to get this car on the road, as you said. So I get the key from the sheikh and everything happens. And then he puts his hand into the next one to pull the next raffle. He has nothing else to say, he just looks at it and says, "Oh, you won another one."
Man, that's lucky.
This is
Yeah.
too much. Okay, apart from this deadly
Just a
story,
correction there. You just said 3 decades? No. I've been in the industry since 1984, so that makes it 41 years now.
oh, oh.
And another legend that Sneha just discussed, VKP. VKP and me walked into RK Studios on a Kailash Randranath set, same time, same minute, together. He obviously came out of Kerala and I came out of Punjab, and he didn't know my language, I didn't know his language, but we
You went
happened
to
to be...
RK Studios like to
Yeah.
pursue movies.
No, Kailash was doing ads, so
Okay,
we both
sorry.
got on
Yeah,
as
Showreel
assistants to
Kailash,
Kailash.
okay,
So me and VKP were completely lost in this industry, didn't know what. But we somehow managed to just gel with each other for a couple of weeks, and then we just stuck on. And been here since then, no regrets. Wake up every morning with a new problem and just love trying to solve them. That's it.
Awesome. Welcome. Swada.
I thought you would not ask me any questions.
Yes, you said you won't speak anything today, no? Introducing Swada Kulkarni, the co-founder and executive producer at Breathless Films, a powerhouse in advertising production industry with over 2 decades in the game. She's made a mark on everything from commercials to documentaries. Now you tell us about yourself.
Okay, how did I get into this? Actually, it was just a fluke. My best friend in school days decided to take up saying that let's do something, and she decided to kind of work with some production guy, and she was assisting him. And since she was my bestie, and those days production had to do everything. I mean, your art director would build 4 walls, 2 walls. You had to bring in props, you had to bring in furniture, you had to do costumes, you had to do everything.
Hair, makeup, style,
Everything.
everything.
No, hair makeup, tha.
Oh, okay.
Not so bad.
They
But-
paid for hair makeup.
But you had to do everything. So every time she got stuck, I would kind of, saying, hey, come, I'll do stuff. So I started attending shoots with her. And I realized
What's her name?
her name is Archana.
Okay.
And I realized that they were always stuck with clothes, costumes. So there was a Gyan Courier Lakme commercial where all these girls had to wear these white outfit. Okay, so I decided to chalo. I'll
You will be the stylist.
be the stylist.
Come on.
And I had a friend who had a tailoring unit, so I started doing clothes and getting it tailored. And I actually started styling for that's what I used to do with MTV also. I used to go in as a costume stylist that time, like it was one big thing, and
This
make
was
all
in
these
which year,
weird
roughly?
clothes. I think 1996.
I think we were all around
1996
doing
yeah.
this stuff.
I
the same
remember
time.
meeting Sneha at a shoot for Titan, where in Simla we had
Yeah.
to go down
With Ravi Udyawar.
with Ravi Udyawar. So I started doing clothes, and as I was sitting on set, and of course that time it was like, acha, flour nahi hai, okay, production, flour leke aao. So someone would run to get it. I said, okay, I'll do it. So I really started enjoying
the
that
job, yeah.
process. So slowly and steadily I started assisting people. So I've come from the base.
From the rock bottom.
From the rock bottom. Got my hands dirty. Have sat down making floor which looked like marble with a pigeon feather. Done all of that. And then somewhere I met Cyrus, flirting vision. We became friends. And then he went into, he joined Highlight. So he would call us. So I was a freelancer all my life.
Cyrus has still got a flirting vision.
And then I did a project for the foot candles for Rajesh Krishnan.
Which one was this?
This was for KBC.
Yeah.
yeah, for KBC. And I did one project they liked, and they asked me to kind of, do more work with them. After which I had a baby. So I'd taken some time off, and they were kind enough after I had the baby. In fact, it was Manav who kind of said that you need to have stability now. You can't be
Calm
afraid.
down.
Yeah, calm down. You need to have a stability. So join in as my producer. That's how I got into the role
So this
of
is the
a
first time I'm hearing that
producer.
somebody has told you, given you a producer's job, say, we are asking you to calm down. That's the, now I know why you're funny.
Oh yeah, he'll vouch for that. So that's how I started producing for Manav initially in Foot Candles. After which Vinil joined in. Now Vinil I knew again from Highlight days. He used to be an AD with Highlight, and I knew him from then. So I met him again in Foot Candles, and then he went to do after a few years, I started producing for Vinil also. And then he came back and he said, "Okay, why don't we start something?" So Deathless,
And now Breathless is now? How
13
many
years,
years?
13 years.
13 years.
13.
Wow.
30.
13.
13.
yaar.
We've been producing Breathless for 13.
Yeah.
We've been around for 35.
सबकी एज बोल देगा क्या आज तो खुद के बोल
Yeah, I think that's the hidden agenda.
Basically, everybody wants to know how much money you all make. That's the actual agenda of this. How much money do you guys make? Like, that's the perception that the world has. Producer मतलब बहुत पैसा मिलता है यार, छापते हैं लोग.
पैसा देते हैं हम सबको.
Yeah,
Exactly.
How true is this?
I'll go ahead.
Cyrus is like, allow me, bro.
No, so at the cost of sounding politically incorrect, no, producers do make a lot of money, but they make far lesser than a lot of other people in the system. So it's a myth that producers make the most amount of money. That's a complete myth. But yes, we do make good money. That's what it is. But who other than producers makes money may not be appropriate to discuss on this table. But yeah, but
Anybody in agreement or disagreement with this?
No, I agree with him, but I think we all actually wanted to be producers, whatever, because when we saw the producers before us who we used to work with,
They were like,
they
were
really,
living the life.
Yes, because there were fewer production houses then. Clients were willing to wait for the guys. Today, client is like, "Tune, okay, there's another one, and
Yeah.
Whoever's the cheaper bid will get it."
Also,
So,
budgets have.
yeah, budgets have
shrunk.
come down.
Principally, monies were better some years back.
oh,
than
way
now.
better.
sure.
Way,
Yeah,
Way better.
way better.
But there was less
Now-
competition, basically.
Also, now you have to work much harder for the same amount
For
of
the
money.
same money.
Or in fact, half of that money.
Yeah.
But you have to run many more kilometers for that.
Yeah, and overall costs have gone up hugely. So the
Yeah.
margins have sort of shrunk.
Because the budgets have remained the same.
Yeah, the budgets have remained the same. A DOP at that time was $10,000. Today he's at 2.5, 3 lakhs.
Yeah, I remember,
So
man. Earlier,
that's the difference.
we used to get quotes, whatever the budgets for a commercial of some 3 people sitting in a room would be actually 1 crore. So by that logic, it should have been 2 crores now. But then that same thing is now like some
Yeah.
30 lakhs.
Absolutely.
So it's like quite bizarre. So
Absolutely.
So it's
were
gone
they
down.
minting a lot at that time?
Exactly.
Is
And
that,
every
It
year
was- it was.
wages, every year HODs are just pumping their money up and producers' margins are going down. So
Because clients are not paying more money
Yeah.
for any of that. So it's all going out of our margins.
and with digital, you're doing ratios, a whole lot of stuff, so you're just paying more money. So it's
Having
In fact,
seen,
one of the things-
having seen the years back what they talk about,
the oldest.
the oldest, saying that those guys had more fun. No, they lived their life much better than the lives that we are trying to live at the moment.
Because we're working too hard, no? We're working too hard.
Maybe you're working too hard. Maybe those guys had a completely different this thing. They did own the islands. They did take the Christmas holidays. You can't. Today, if somebody comes and tells me, come shoot on the 31st of December, I say, forget the Christmas holiday, I will go and shoot. But then those were the days when we were told categorically
it's like
that
it's shut for 15 days.
you're shut for 15 days.
That's because clients were willing
I
to wait for
remember-
them.
Yeah,
I
clients are
remember-
willing to wait for.
Shooting South Africa for 10 years. when they clearly told me from the 10th of December to the 5th of Jan, don't even think of shooting anything because no crew is going to be available.
Yeah.
But you reach a stage now where crews available any day. I've just shot last year Dubai 31st of December.
Whoa.
You know, something which is completely not possible, but yes, the celebrity says that's a day I'm available and the crew is willing to shoot.
But I think, Bill, it applies to a lot of other industries as well. I mean,
Yeah, of course
Swada's
it
right. I think clients today are working far later, and
Yeah.
more clients are working weekends than they worked
Yeah.
a decade ago.
It's all-
and it's
Maybe that's
you
just
know, it's the
pace
value
of,
chain.
Maybe that's
it's
the
value
pace of life which has increased for everything. just
oh, I'm not
product,
saying it's a good thing.
It's overall.
Yeah, but that said, we're all entrepreneurs. So I think somewhere you can also make that choice.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, you have to find a trade-off, right? There's a balance in life you have to achieve. So if that's important to you, then you say, I mean, come what may, I'm not going to. Because, like, for example, we have kids who are going off to college. So for us right now, every holiday that they have is our holiday. So we make sure that it can be whatever. We're not taking the work on. We want to spend that time with them.
Other
So it's a
than-
question of prioritizing, huh?
Other than
Other than what?
Other than, well, don't get me
I
started.
also
on
know 2, 3 like that. Other than this, other than phone pay, other than that.
yeah, it's always that. The trade-off is
That's
what
true.
it is,
That's
yeah.
true. But yeah, you have to try and assess where your priorities lie, I guess. And I think post-COVID, that's the one thing that we've all understood, right? You have to find your balance, yeah. You can't, or you figure out a way to make it happen. So, without your having to.
But I think the nature of this job itself is, I don't think you can find balance. It is chaotic. I think the balance,
You can.
if you agree, is like to find the job itself fun.
You can
So
find the
you're-
balance.
Everybody
Yeah.
kind of, their friends are also within the fraternity. It's like kind of, I don't know how it is nowadays with the new crowd.
Starting from where I started from, I wouldn't know who the second. Obviously, you knew Nirvana, who owned Cocois,
And now they are
but you wouldn't know
500 now.
90% of the producers who were around. But today, 7 of us around this table belong to an association, ASAP. So we all have that brotherhood among us. We know each
So
other
how many
outside
members
work.
in ASAP?
We have about 75 members at ASAP, but to say that 7 of us on this table belong to that association and we know each other outside work. When we walked in up there, it wasn't a case of meeting somebody for the first time. It's like you just met a couple of weeks back or a couple of months back, and it's just a conversation that carries on.
So like
So
roughly
that's
how
something which
many
has changed now.
production houses are there, like an estimate right now?
In
Like,
ASAP,
Not ASAP, generally in India.
generally in India there could be 3,000, but
I mean,
the,
I think
the,
numbers
the
are
ones
increasing.
I wasn't counting, but I was saying there are 3,000 production houses, but effectively
The ones which
the
matter.
ones that do most amount of work, I would say probably about 80% of the work in the industry would be about 90 or 100 or so, out of which 75 are a part of what we call Association of Producers, ASAP. And we kind of have a body which looks after our own. We started this about 10 years back because we were facing a lot of problems at various ends, everything from who the IPR belongs to legal issues, to voiceover artists pressurizing us. There's unions who are
Unions.
pressurizing us, stopping shoots, increasing money randomly, 10% a year, 20% a year. If you don't pay them, they would come and stop them. If there was a foreign international artist on shoot, they would come and stop them. That's when we kind of got cornered and we decided that we need to come together as a body, and which we did. Slowly, one by one, we started tackling problems. We started having meetings with all these bodies, having meetings with clients, having meetings with agencies, etc. And today we've reached a stage where if there is a new rule which needs to be brought into the industry, we need to be brought onto the table to discuss it. If once they discuss it, if we are okay with it, then it kind of gets set into motion. So everyone is aware of it. We manage solving a lot of problems, especially on-shoot problems. So that's what we are. But yeah, we keep a good place in that.
No, actually, it's a good. I'm going in no particular order. So now that we've got it to this budgets and stuff like that, honestly, like there's a very honest question that I want to ask. Don't you sometimes think that a film budget or whatever, it's way too expensive to make an ad film? Why is it so expensive? Like, It just normally staring at that figure. I mean, 2, 3 Mallu movies will be made in that same money. Why is it? And as we go along, like what we see in YouTube videos, there are more and more creators. You don't need such a big crew. You don't need so much of tamjam. Just 2 lights. People are operating and digital. There's no film anymore. There are so many young, hungry people out there. Young music directors at this. By all this logic put, I mean, you see a lot of shows and whatever that thing. They just and within the same elements, when it becomes an ad, suddenly the ad is like insanely expensive. Isn't it quite bizarre in a sense?
In a way, it is, I would say, if you want to do apples for apples comparison, if I shot what is there as content on YouTube or on Insta, would a brand put it out on TV? No, they won't put
they
it out.
won't, yeah.
If I had shot something which is equivalent to an Ekta Kapoor serial, would a brand take it and put it out on TV? No, they wouldn't. So that money goes into the quality of work that is required. It's like, comparing a Nike shoe with a Power from Bata or something like that, right? The money goes into quality management. It goes into bringing the right actors on board, goes into getting the right. So yes, it is expensive. Yes, it is. It may not per se be that is every penny worth it. May not be, but there is
That is what I'm
no
saying.
way
Is
of comparing.
Obviously, you're saying, and I believe you also, that the margins have come down. It's not like everybody's making like pots and pots of money here. But if you actually look at it, like
Yes, of course.
if I stare at a piece of content, of course, that is self-expression. I mean, the lighting is good. There are good performers out there and all that stuff. Sometimes you think, if you have to think very ordinarily, dude, I'd actually take the same crew and make them shoot an ad. It's just the only difference is there's a logo in the end. Most of the times, even like, okay, let's say a good ad film. I'm not talking about your regular, like a typical ad film. I'm saying a creative ad film. Shouldn't be costing so much.
No, I mean, that depends on how you see it, right? You have the option to go to somebody who will not judge you that. for
Exactly,
example.
yeah.
So the reason you come to somebody is because you're expecting a certain value addition, the kind of director you want onboarded. So there is a cost attached to that, which is an intangible. Because every other cost is transparent, you can see, right? Again, now the director will have inputs like he wants X number of cameras, or whoever he wants to collaborate with on the project, they come at a price. So all those heads are for you to see. But the intangibles are what the director brings to the table in terms of, see, you know the difference between, a very badly produced
Absolutely,
film.
absolutely, yeah.
Right? So there is that. And like he said, clients who are selling products are not selling you products cheap. Their cost of production on a
Fair enough,
product is also minimal, but it gets padded up with many other things along the line, right? So like that, when you eventually make a film, everything adds up, and they have all these choices that a range of production houses that they can go to. So they come to you for a reason, and the way that we approach the work is that you don't want to compromise on anything that we're finally putting out, right? So you're getting the best guys on board. And you're trying to minimize risk on their behalf as much as possible. So it is expensive.
Ramsam, I'll go with what you're saying, okay? But the truth of the matter is, the answer is, whenever you bring in an artist, you pay the artist a lot more because it is your idea, you are making it, and you're using the artist to only execute your vision. So fundamentally speaking, if Picasso was told to paint something for the bank, he charged a lot more. But when he made something for himself, he barely got any money, right? So the rule of thumb also applies to the fact that you're
Khalil,
asking an artist to make a commercial.
The point I'm trying to make is I am not for any time, any moment indicating that anybody should be paid much lesser than what they deserve. Right now, if you just look at it, it's not like wherever you guys are also spending money should be spent. There are a lot of those areas. It's buffers or it's
variables, right?
safety.
No, but apples to apples, it is more expensive.
Yes.
For the budget of the Cannes-winning film just now, we make a decent-sized commercial.
Correct.
So it is more expensive.
No, I'm not talking about the once in a lifetime, once in a year, that big special piece of ad. I'm talking about your everyday ads.
Absolutely.
I'm talking about those.
Absolutely.
Okay, earlier a brand had to just make like some 3 films or 4 films a year. Now, I mean, if they have to stay relevant, they have got more and more opportunities where they want to stay relevant, and they have more and more conversation points.
Of course.
And therefore, by the sheer thing, they have to make more number of films. And it's not that they are asking every film to be some grand scale film. It could be a tiny conversation. It could be a very simple thing. Obviously, nobody is expecting veterans to make that. I'm talking about newcomers, young freshers. Is there no motivation among the top-notch, say, producers like
But
you?
the headaches are far
to,
more.
Yeah, exactly. Are the headaches too much for you to now take on board the young ones, experiment with a lot more of the new crowd? Or, say, if somebody were to give you more time, like say 2 months in advance, would that cost have been way lesser?
I think
Where could that
simply it is
balance
risk to reward function, right? If you make a film for lesser budget, if there is no PPM, if there is no 10 brand managers who say मेरे को ऐसा shot चाहिए, मेरे को वो भी चाहिए, मेरे को ये भी expression चाहिए, followed by 10 other creators who sit on your head and say मेरे को ये option चाहिए, वो option चाहिए, ये नहीं चाहिए, then by some stretch of imagination I can say यार 3 अलग client है ना, तीनों की मैं एक दिन में shoot करके देता हूँ. अगर तीनों की मैं एक दिन में शूट करके देता हूँ तो तीनों को फायदा होगा. मतलब तेरे को भी 1/3 ऑफ द डे चार्ज होगा, उसको भी 1/3 ऑफ द, उसको भी 1/3 ऑफ द डे चार्ज होगा. वो मैं 2 घंटे में शूट करके उड़ा दूंगा. बट आई डू नॉट वांट अ क्रिएटर सिटिंग ऑन माय हेड हू सेज के एक ऑप्शन ऐसा भी ले लो, ऐसा भी ले लो. फिर वो क्या है कि वो
बीच में ऑडियो बाइट्स
मॉइस्चराइजर में पानी ऊपर से सूप करके गिरता है, फिर ऐसा आता है द शॉट शुड लुक सो ब्यूटीफुल. नहीं भाई, एक मॉइस्चराइजर है, जो यूज़ करेगा उसको समझ में आएगा मॉइस्चराइजर अच्छा है कि नहीं अच्छा है. अभी के लिए शूट करके दे दो, तो वो मैं 2 घंटे में शूट करके दे सकता हूँ. परफॉर्मेंस प्लस ये प्लस वो, ऐसे करके एक दिन में 3 ऐड उड़ा के दे सकता हूँ. इफ दैट क्वालिटी इज एक्सेप्टेबल, देन ऑफ कोर्स इट कैन बी डन मच चीपर. But it has to be delinked with the risk of quality, and it has to be delinked with the risk of so many people sitting in judgment of that, and it can be achieved, I think. I think what people put up for
is not about only producers sitting and huddling around this subject, as much as inviting agencies and clients.
I think what
there are some very stupid practices that are being followed, which I think affects the cost.
I also disagree. I mean, we try and do. We have like younger directors. We have a DA who we're trying to get work for as a director. We are trying to get convert films at whatever budget. But he's right. Like it's the expectations are still
correct
that high.
Yeah.
They are giving us 30 lakhs, but actually they want a 1 crore film.
Correct.
So where does that get?
That, and you set standards for yourself too, right?
Yeah.
So when you run a production company, I don't want to put out substandard work.
Absolutely.
So I'm very clear that it's okay. I'll forgo the budget that is coming to me.
But I'm saying that even if I put all the money in the film, is it even then is it enough? Because
I'm going to the extent of delinking that also. I'm saying that if suppose Nirvana was to start Nirvana Digital, where you do not have the burden of saying this is the quality of work that Nirvana stands for. This is Nirvana Digital purely work which is kind of works within a certain budgetary
so
stuff,
you have different
etc.
verticals, basically.
But the fact that somebody comes to a Nirvana Digital will still have the expectation of a quality work,
that is,
even if you have delinked it and saying that इसमें मैं इंडस्ट्री के
become victim of your own success.
20 AD को लेके आऊंगा जो इंस्टा रील इक्विवेलेंट काम करेंगे. एक दिन में मैं एक स्टूडियो में जाके 10 फिल्में से उड़ा सकता हूँ, लेकिन वो तो नहीं कर पाएंगे.
You speak to me in English, yaar. I can't speak Hindi.
Sorry, we can't
South
do that.
Indians. Okay, no.
I thought the elections just got over, so we should speak like that.
No, but I totally I hear you. But so that's it. So I think different yardsticks.
Yeah.
And the expectations are clearly, like Priyanka was saying, haven't been tapered down to, it's very easy to say that everything's expensive. But what are the expectations?
Exactly, in fact, that's the fallacy, I think, that money is the only label attached. Everybody just looks at that you started that producer's money, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's extremely unfortunate, because the kind of stuff today when you get projects, and everybody knows that it's not just because of the creativity of, of course, that's a very large role, but it's also the trust and ability of this entire production company as a whole to deliver.
Correct.
Despite all the 5 trillion things thrown at you at several levels of production, right? Which is why you keep getting work again and again, right? Of course, creativity is the driving force, but if there's no engine behind this, if there is no engine, that's why, and to run that engine with these pre-PPM 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then PPM, it takes money, man.
And
Also
the
amount-
risk associated with it, no?
Yeah,
Things
amount
are
of
not the
time that
same
we
way we
spend
used
in
to be.
prepping for something. And having said that, agency themselves come to you, clients themselves come to you, and they always say, whether it's a Nirvana or a Early Man or, you know, any company here,
I think once-
they say, "Ke, Arey, but we've come to Breathless, no? We've come to Nirvana, no? We've come to this one." So we know कि quality तो suffer नहीं होने वाला है. So we have that benchmark
Exactly,
that we
yeah.
need to.
So I'm asking, please give me honest answers, candid, I mean, whatever.
Of course, yeah.
So, how much of the budget, like we all know that, you know, anything can happen in the PPM. Yeah, briefly change ho sakta hai. So you've already got a cost approved. So you are making sure कि कुछ भी event हो जाए, I should be able to cover that cost. Is the cost high? Therefore, if it is rightly spent for creative reasons, it's great.
No, I'll tell you, in your case, we work together on films where the costs are deliberately high. Because you come to us in the nth hour.
Exactly.
Like,
That's
how do you assume I have nothing else that I'm doing? You know?
Absolutely.
So I've cancelled my holiday to Japan because I have to do your film. I bloody well make money on it. So there is a cost to be paid for that. So if you wake up late.
And Ramsam, I think there is some discipline creeping in, which is where clients want an accurate budget, and then if there are new requirements, they're very fair to pay for those. So there is a bit of discipline coming in.
I haven't met those. huh?
Yeah, I want to meet this client.
Yeah, I want to meet those clients.
I've had a couple of good
But yeah,
experiences.
I mean, with a fight, yes.
Because let's be honest, you want a rock bottom budget, and you go to PPM and you want to change the location, change the cast, shoot an extra day. That's not going to happen. It's impossible.
Yeah.
So if those kind of elements are not clear in either in the budget and in the estimate, then you're going to go back and you're going to ask for more money.
And to be fair, there was a time, like we've worked with brands like Vodafone over several decades, right? We were not perceived as vendors. We were partners.
Yeah,
So
I
we
think
made
that equation.
several mistakes together. There were things that we were trying as we went along. And clients were happy to say, let's do this experiment. If it doesn't work, we'll do another. So they didn't look at us as, you know, people churning work out. We jointly created some iconic work because we were partners. And that is clearly missing from the table right now. So we don't feel the same emotion towards a lot of the clients.
I would say that's a
right?
very big one
I've-
because that is exactly what it is.
I've had an experience. I think you were client servicing at that time. Way
There.
back in 2003, I got to shoot a commercial with 2 cricketers in
oh
Australia.
yeah, that's a deadly
The
story.
client, we didn't know as a production company that the client was actually trying to play a game with the official sponsor for the Australian cricket team. And the Indian client was trying to put in a water in front of a beer which was sponsoring them. And we had one shot where the cricketer was required to do a certain dance, which he does after he gets a wicket. And that footage had to come from ICC. And by the time the Australian client discovered what was happening, they put their foot down and told ICC, no, you can't give this footage. And that whole commercial
So the commercial is short. So the commercial starts with this one footage of another match where this Gilchrist or whatever, Brett Lee does a jig, a step. He takes a wicket and does a step. So then you have Gilchrist and Brett Lee looking at that. And then Brett Lee says, so he says, where did you learn this step? And he says, come on, why don't I show you? And then they go and one big tam jam happens and full fun. But the whole premise starts with you getting that footage. But then last minute you could get that footage. So now the entire commercial is shot, but this footage has to be reshot.
So the footage has to be reshot, and I'm in Cape Town. I get a call early in the morning, says, sorry, we have a problem. We have shot this commercial. It's all done. Clients approved it. But now ICC is not giving this footage. How can you help? And because I was friends with them, I said, listen, I'll shoot this for you. The Australian cricket team was playing the World Cup 2003 in South Africa. There's a complete ban on the players even talking to an outsider. Somehow we managed, because we weren't vendors, we were friends there. We said we need to get this out.
And
Somehow
also
we
there
managed
was
to,
a Bilu can do anything.
we managed to get to the
Of course.
cricketer.
Bilu can do anything.
Bilu can do anything.
We managed to get to a cricketer. We convinced him that, Brett, we need to shoot this. He says, from 7 o'clock in the morning to 11 o'clock at night, I'm completely washed. I cannot get out and shoot this for you. So we said, fine, tomorrow morning at 5 o'clock, we're going to come here. We're going to smuggle you out of your hotel. We're going to take you out, shoot a first shot with sunrise, and bring you back before 7 o'clock. You'll be in your hotel room.
Love it.
So you're saying that that time the relationships were such that
But
you were
such.
motivated to do this. Today, the relationship is so cold that you don't feel.
It's transactional.
It's
So
very
what is
transactional.
that?
Not
Now
all
it's
the
very
time.
transactional.
Not all the time.
Most of the
Yeah, I
clients
know.
still,
There's still few exceptions, but
Yeah.
yeah, most of the times it is.
most of the clients that we work with still, we are not treated as vendors. We are friends.
Is
we still get out
is
and do
this
that.
because of this arrival of this thing called procurement that came and separated everybody? So the agency is in one zone, then the marketing people are in another zone, brand managers, and then everything goes to a third party only who has no idea about what the script demands, what the production house is costing for, and it's a completely alien
I think
process.
I think
How much can you?
I don't think
is this process the problem?
I think procurement is not the only team that can take the blame, because the procurement, yes, while you're saying that they only discuss cost without actually knowing anything else, our relationship with procurement lands up being as transactional, which means that we do not have any relationship with them. So if a film can be done within that cost, we'll do it. Otherwise, we'll say fuck off, because beyond that, if a creative called and said, or whoever you maintain your relationship with an agency said, "Ke yaar, we have a working relationship, ye wala thoda kam mein kar le, baad mein we'll figure out something," you do it at that point of time. But now you won't do it because this person is completely delinked. He's not bound to do anything later on. So that is one part of it, is that procurement. But the other part of it is how much is repeat business for any of us. I mean, by now, whether you call it brand teams or otherwise agencies, the relationship you share with them is virtually like a one-night stand. No? You make one film, next film he wants to work with her, irrespective of whether the film that they did with me is fabulous or not. They'll work with her. Next time after working with her, they'll go to him. Then they'll go to her. So what is the necessity of me bending backwards to accommodate anybody if I know that the repeat business is not going to be there? जब वो पूरा राउंड करेगा, उसके बाद में वो शायद मेरे पास वापस आएगा, बोलेगा कि नहीं उसके पास जाते. But उसके बाद में ये लोग, all these 8 people will wonder कि why did this guy not come back to me?
But Cyrus, I'm just playing devil's advocate. I mean, there's a lot of pressures now, targets, budgets are a pressure. As a client, why wouldn't I just go back to you? Because you delivered a great film, and why reinvent the wheel? You'll probably give me 5% off if I show you loyalty.
But that is,
why not?
That is exactly my question, and I'm not saying that the client is responsible for doing that, because somebody in the system does that, but there is none like that, right? So whether it's the agency who chooses from one to the next, or the client who does that, we don't know. We just know
So
that.
also the system of
it's a
TC
system.
quotes and stuff.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like they necessarily are seeking you specifically. They have the options or their bases covered, which is
Sneha, correct.
fine.
The 3 quotes is there,
Yeah.
but like if you have to think very normally, shouldn't the agency be playing the mediator in the sense that it is very fair that, so therefore no surprises there in a PPM. So the end client knows much before in hand what is that it is being quoted for, how are they seeing this film. So would a production house be open to having such deep conversations much before even quoting with the client?
Oh yeah, all
I
the
think
time.
it's really
All the
required.
Yeah.
That is required.
All the
I mean,
time.
today's day and age,
So that no
really
surprises
required.
come in the PPM. Na? So I think
But how many
a lot of this
agencies
is
and
lost in
clients have that
translation,
relationship?
lost in the process itself. The process
How many
itself is so-
agencies and clients have that relationship anymore?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, gone are the days where there was an agency who was handling a client 365 days a year, right?
Yeah.
Like how much of that happens anymore?
That's ended
Yeah,
up becoming a
everyone,
one-night
yeah.
stand.
That
Every-
relationship has
every
gone sour a little bit over.
job is a pitch even
It's
for
kind
the
of reflecting
agency.
even out
Yeah.
here.
And also the fact that agencies started their own production houses, so they try and take all the jobs to them, and they're also
Swada,
that
if
itself
you
is
actually look at it, the agency production, okay, it's now I think 8 years, 9 years. If you look at it, I think you would really not be like, oh, thank God, it's not the plum jobs which are going internally. Most of the cases, it's one of those, chalo ya kisi ko karna hai.
But if you look at the way this industry has been right from day one, Sneha has been an agency producer herself.
Correct.
Those days, whenever we got a script, we did get a shadow quote from the films department. The script was presented to the client. There was a shadow quote that the agency gave the client. So the client knew that this script I'm looking at, this is what the agency thinks this is going to cost.
There was some benchmarking.
There's a benchmark. They knew a benchmark figure and they could turn around and say, I don't have this much of money, get me a new script. But now the agency guys, the agency producers there themselves don't know what script should be costing.
Yeah, that's
But at the same point of time, even if somebody was to say, for example, if a agency producer was to say that this is worth, say, 1.5 crores, but there will be enough production houses who will quote at 75 lakhs to pick up that job. So the client is saying, fuck off, I don't,
but-
whatever you're saying is not good enough because there are people in the industry who are willing to pick
that's
it up.
what's happening in the industry today.
That's the reality,
But
ground
the point
reality.
I'm trying to make to you is that when I go and present a script to the client, if I tell him that this is what the script is going to cost, he has an option of saying, "Mere paas itna paisa nahi hai, mere ko give me a new script."
No, that's for sure. When I used to be an agency producer, the minute a script comes, you're able to assess what range and who you can go to with this script, right?
Yeah.
You can't be demanding everything, all in sundry and say that I want it in X. So we would go back and there's a pushback because you're the expert on it and say, no, you can't get a Rajiv Menon at this cost, you can get so and so, right? We've done that. And clients, because they were not experts, they would trust your judgment on it and say, okay, so then show me who are the upcoming directors because I don't have a budget. Or they would say, I don't know, no matter what, I want, a Prasun Pandey on this film. And if it's going to cost me X, I'll find a way to pull the budget out of whatever because this is the most important piece of work I will be putting out for the year. So it was a dialogue and there was trust, which clearly there's a deficit right now.
Yeah.
I don't
Huge
think
deficit,
there are no experts who they trust. They believe they can do everything.
Correct.
So that's why they want to make their own films. They
That's
want
where the
to.
procurement
Yeah,
comes
so
into
then
play.
there is going to
Every
be.
Is
client
this
has a
the larger
procurement team.
problem
Yeah.
or the scripts that are being written? It is not whether this has to be done by Verma or Prasoon or the nature of the script itself is so off budget. Does that happen
Yes.
with
Of
the
course.
kind of
Yes,
scripts that
all
come
the
to you?
time. Oh, yes, all the time.
Montage
Yeah.
All
will
the
be
time.
done
For
sure.
all the
hot.
time.
Yeah, I think
So it's a lack of agency training to write for a budget.
For sure. We
sure.
have a great laugh sometimes when we read the script. We're like,
And
And sometimes you have 3 films with a celebrity who's there for 8 hours. Along with the 3 films, you have to shoot some 20 digital bites and 3 stills and ask for his happy birthday for somebody's grandmother and cut a ribbon in anticipation for Holi next year. So all of this is all done in the same
And
8
some
hours.
20 changes
Yeah.
and prosthetic,
So-
everything.
Yeah.
Ramsam, I think the beginning of the end started with production companies invoicing clients directly. So you took away responsibility from the agency. For example, in the US, the agency takes responsibility for that budget. Now,
I
by
think that's a
virtue
big
of that,
point. That's a really big point.
by
Yeah.
virtue of that, it's not just a Sneha or a Khalil who's telling the client, no, you can't
Then
shoot
it becomes
this
like the
because it's
agency,
not
मैं तो
possible.
script दे रहा हूँ यार, तुम लोग आपस में बात कर लो जो करना है.
You have the agency creative director and agency account head, which is saying, sorry, brand manager, this is not possible. Because they're also accountable for that budget. Now, you spend almost 2 decades where production companies are invoicing clients directly. Unfortunately, the agency has been marginalized.
Yeah.
but we have one guy on this table who's a mole for the client, who hasn't opened his mouth.
Yes.
Kuch to bol yaar.
Come on.
Anand.
Anand likes dealing with clients.
No, but
directly.
Our clients love it.
I'm in agreement with most of what's being said. So
No,
if
but
if I have something fresh to contribute, I will. But yeah.
I also find off the books, I also find that as a surprising practice because if an agency was to sell out or get a buyout or an acquisition of sorts, where is their valuation if the money doesn't go through them? Where is the billing?
Yeah.
They get only a certain percentage or a project fee, which would be 1% of the overall money which is exchanging hands between clients, production houses, etc., etc. So as a result, when they have to show their books, where is the money in their books? Where is the valuation of their books?
So all that is justified, right? The problem is, honestly, if you actually break it down, it feels like there are too many people in the system who don't have to be there.
Yeah.
There are too many people.
They don't have any
And-
particular job. So then
And
they
there's
have
no
to.
coherent conversation between all the...
Yeah. The guys who finally work are 3 people, but there are 30 people. And then everyone has to justify their existence. So that 2-bit come in. And then somewhere something is going to suffer, right? And then because you're taking all this pain, sometimes you feel, well, now too bad, you pay for it.
Correct.
Right? So that's pretty much what's happening.
Also, something is sold to the client. Something is promised already by the agency without checking the reality of whether this is going to happen at this number or in these many weeks, right? Then everybody's fighting in that 2-3 weeks to make the impossible possible, you know. But the starting premise of this entire thing itself, right? So one can question that where is this going wrong?
Like, you know, IPL is coming every year. at a certain
Exactly.
time.
Exactly,
Right? But everyone will wake
Despite
up
that.
the last day, 2 weeks before.
Basically, everything points out to the demise of an agency producer.
Yeah.
The agency producer who can tell the client, you're asking for an
So did it
impossible
all ever
deadline.
cross your minds at any time, if agencies can have their production houses, why can't you convert it to an agency or something like that? Did it ever cross, or it is
It's a thankless
too
job.
much of too much of a headache?
I just feel agencies are, I mean, they are the ones who actually work the most and the longest,
Yeah.
and are the ones who are actually making
Yeah.
nothing out of it.
Yeah, and my
Totally
heart
bummed
goes
out.
out.
My
to
heart
them.
goes out.
At
Completely-
least we are
completely,
passionate about
yeah.
what you do, what we
Absolutely.
do.
You know, and obviously that's why they also are fed up and they're just saying कि अच्छा चलो इसके साथ जाना है करो इसके साथ जाना है. They also don't want to fight anymore.
See, there's no advertising, the agencies are not there. You need them at the end of the day. Even a production house trying to go and pitch to a client is not going to be able to do a 360-degree job of how the agency understands, right from BTL to the film to everything. We can't offer it.
You can't even bear the language that they speak to you about. Yeah, so that's
I
brash.
can
That's
maybe get a freelance writer to come and write a script and go to a client with a script, but that's not everything that the client wants. That's just 10% of his entire marketing strategy. So at the end of the day, it has to be an agency, and it has to be something which we all need to work in tandem with and just make the best of it.
Yeah, but egos have also grown, right? I remember there was one time when we had done a film for Vodafone and Harit was the client and Mahesh was creative. And they'd already done a lot of work together. And this was a film that was different from the rest. This is before Boy Dog. So we were presenting the film, I think it was at, I don't know, one of the studios in Bandra. And at the end of it, Harit said, Arey yaar, I don't know if this will work for my brand. I really have doubts. I don't think it'll work. And Mahesh was upset because we had really put in everything. It looked fabulous. It was actually a very different film. But Harit knew his brand, and for him it was, it wasn't sitting well. So he said it. Mahesh was upset. He stormed out of the room and he said, bloody hell, man. And he banged the door and he walked out. Trust me, if it was any other client in today's scenario, it would have become such a massive scene. Harit had the magnanimity to say he's a creative guy, he's attached to his work, and hence the
He's just
tantrum.
venting, yeah.
And it's fine. He's allowed that space. And they continue to work on several amazing films. There was no ego, right? It was
And
teamwork.
it's also a deeper relationship. They were both building
Yeah,
brand together.
But how do those things happen, right? It's because of leadership.
Absolutely.
Which somewhere you do lack. Like right now we enjoy working with entrepreneurs directly rather than, large conglomerates who have all these multiple layers going on. Because you're not connecting with anybody. So how do you, if like we're doing a project for Ather and we're talking to Tarun himself, you see the passion with which he's built that bike. And that is percolating down to the last
yeah,
man
that kind of
standing.
rubs off on everybody.
Right? It rubs off on anyone. So you want to do your best for him because you know what it's taken him to build it. And those are the kind of guys, young entrepreneurs who know their product, who have the energy. You don't mind doing it. Otherwise, it's too diluted, this system. You don't know who you're dealing with at the other end. There are too many things that they are not clear about. They're there one day, they're not there the next. So how do you expect that
that's
kind
a
of
fucking
continuity?
problem in itself. They're
Yeah.
there one day, not there the next day.
Yeah.
Suddenly, the guy who was briefing you on the
Everything's
brand,
so
he's suddenly
short-term.
not there.
It's very unfortunate, you
Yeah.
know, because I also think I'm trying to be optimistic about it. I also think we're in a bit of a time warp right now where people are trying to meet quarterly targets. They're not building brands.
That's true.
I think a lot of brand managers back in the day, in fact, when I first moved down to India, they were brand managers, They had a tone of voice. They were super clear. They were very confident of the communication that they wanted to portray. And they didn't just look at quarterly sales targets,
correct.
I think we're in a bit of a time warp
No,
right
but
now.
actually, what everybody is discussing, if you boil down to one word, I think it's relationships. That's the key thing which
And
has
trust.
gone.
And
Like
trust.
relationships
And
and trust
trust.
and whatever that thing is. Like even now, I think it's the same. From the earlier days, when you watch an ad and it's a beautiful ad, it has happened because of a relationship.
Correct.
It's not like you wrote a great script. It's not just about the script alone. I think it's the relationship that the agency shares with the client, or the agency shares with the production, or the director shares with the writer. It thrives on that. Even
Absolutely.
today, when we see a damn good ad, if you actually investigate the reason behind why is it such a good ad, it's probably because a relationship worked out there.
Absolutely.
Like be it what you guys did for Cred, or whatever with Nirvana, the Vodafones of, or everything legendary
Fevicol.
of
Yeah.
Fevicol.
And also what
or,
Sneha said in terms of, it's also good
Cadbury's and
leadership,
Vanilla,
you know.
yeah.
It was a good leadership from a brand team. It was great leadership
I
from
think
an agency.
everybody speaks about the subject, but I think if you boil it down, it is that word, yeah. That word has gone missing, because I think everybody has become transactional. Even the young ones walking into advertising are there for a small stint. They're still trying to figure out lives. Nobody is there in it for the long, or,
The long haul,
yeah, I think.
It's no longer a team effort.
Yeah.
So the
Everybody
work
just,
is mediocre also as a result of that.
yeah.
Somewhere it's
Everybody,
taken a beating.
yeah, everybody just trying to safeguard his own job.
So, which now, taking a segue from relationships, I think Khalil has one question, which is, why don't you ask it yourself, Khalil? How should the relationship between a producer, now I'm going internal, and a director be? You're saying, why should it be a great marriage? Why can't it be transactional?
Really?
I did.
I don't know how
no,
Sneha can answer
I
this
did.
question,
I
but-
did. No, I was picturing how Sneha is going to respond to this and not quite like it. But no, again, counterpoint of view. You know, when I first came to the business, it was very like a director and a producer have to be like a very good marriage, and they have to be absolutely on the same page, etc., right? And I also, as many times as it was used, transactional, I also think we put a very negative connotation to the word transactional.
Yeah.
I don't think transactional is something bad, right? I bring value to the table.
Being cut
You
and dry
pay
is-
you pay me a value for it. A director and a producer are going to be together until they're both bringing value to each other's lives, and it is a business,
It
right?
has to be healthy, that's all.
And I also feel, I mean, the other reason why I felt it is perfectly healthy, perfectly respectable for it to be transactional is also because this is a business, right? Don't get me wrong. At the end of the day, we sort of lose sight of the fact that this is a business. It should be run like a business, and that's how we end up scaling. But a lot of us have entered it because we were very passionate, and you know, our previous being a brand manager was boring or whatever, and you know, you're hobby tripping, so there's a lot of passion tripping, so you're working a lot of weekends. But coming back to the heart of it, it's
Yeah.
perfectly acceptable for it to be transactional.
Absolutely, and there are no absolutes. Priyanka and I work with our husbands, but we are business in the business of making
Of course,
films.
yeah.
So
Of course.
we're very clear that yeah, I mean there are.
So you have huge fights on this?
I mean, it's just that sometimes by default,
You carry it
directors
home, yeah.
like Prasoon or Verma and all are not interested in the business aspects. of it,
Right.
Right. So they'd rather get someone to handle the headache of it, right? And they trust you. Now, whether it's your spouse or not is a different story. But I mean, they work perfectly as a team. They're not married. So
Almost married. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, the thing is, I think the analogy of the marriage comes because you read each other's minds, you preempt what the other person wants. You are in sync when it comes to a lot of things. And, you know, even before the other person has thought it, you said, okay, I think this is what he'll want. So that's the comfort of that relationship that is important.
And the
It's,
trust.
and the trust. And it's a creative partnership. You know, I'm not selling toothpaste. So for me to understand that you have to give him room to play or her room to play so that the magic happens is very important. That comfort is what this marriage
But how
analogy
do
is
you
about.
broach this when you sometimes think that whatever the director is asking is quite ridiculous, or it's not at all needed?
Say
Or do
it.
those, but does it get, okay, you can probably because you share a different
No, I
relationship.
think everybody
but
does.
Does it get a little
All of
touchy
us can.
sometimes? Not at all.
But that's our job as producers.
It
I
depends on
think.
how you say it, no? Like you can't say fuck off, ye thodi milega. That's not how you say it.
Yeah.
You say it after 2 days.
Yeah, you say it, fuck off, yaar. Aisa thodi hota hai.
So
No, but
for-
but
Yeah.
Sneha, for me to just clarify, so that I can explain the question. It doesn't have to be. I mean, yours is a marriage, but you're
it started
very
off-
clear producer, director, and So this has actually no reference to people who are actually married as producers and directors. But the fact that it is a director and producer relationship is beyond reproach. And if they were to walk away from each other, it is like a divorce, right? So those kind of connotations that get attached to it, it takes away a lot of what a producer's role actually could be.
Correct.
Questioning.
But you can't put everything in one box. Anand has something to say.
Yeah. So no, I mean I don't deny the fact that it can be transactional and it can it doesn't need to be the skies don't need to fall every time a director and a producer.
Or the seas don't need to part.
Yeah, part ways or whatever. But I think from my experience at least, I think the best films. I mean that's what we do. So end up being produced by when you do have a pretty close relationship with a director. I've never been married to any of my directors, but but I've really, I think and it's so in some ways it's also important as a producer to the things that you do to make a film you don't want to talk about in public. Yeah, we all have killed ourselves on various occasions to get things done, etc. But if you have a great relationship with a director, it somehow feels like a partnership. I mean, you can sit, have a drink, sort out a problem. You're not really sitting across the table, and which of course you do need to do sometimes. But a fairly long-term relationship with a director where you end up being friends, I think definitely contributes to good work, because you're not working at. I mean, when you're working on a film, you do feel that the whole world is out to get you anyway. So at least the two people who are leading, leading the project, so to say, if you're working together and are on the same bandwidth, I think it just makes the process better.
Yeah, and what you're saying is absolutely possible to do. You're doing it, you know how that works. But it just adds another layer. Finally, it's our work that we put out, right? And we know what goes into that. And that's what we stand for. So if you're able to give that director, and I think to some extent the director is that beast that you need to sort of keep comfortable, because creative energies are required to make that, and you're trying to create an environment where there's not too much disruption for the director. As a producer, this is what your primary job is, right? To try and see how you can not, how this person can do the best possible thing of what is given to him or her. So I think that is the equation. It's not really about whether I'm the wife or the, whatever else. The thing is to have that partnership, and I think that's in any profession.
Can you
We
elaborate
look at
on whatever else?
cricketers. Yeah, whatever Prasun and Cyrus have together is a different story. But yeah, I don't know if you'll know, Swada, Vinil and you, how do you work?
No, it's like I said, you have to trust and you need to know. I mean, that is how I believe, because I believe in what he's doing. And sometimes, a director would ask you for the most stupidest thing, which the entire crew will not understand, but you will understand why he's asking you that. And you will stand by him for that. And the whole world will say, why the fuck did he ask for that, So that is important, and that is, I think, makes you where you are, and to understand and bring out good work out there. But for you guys, I understand.
But Swada, you don't say it's not about a permanency of a relationship. But what I'm referring to is you do say no.
Of course.
Of course.
You do question.
Of course.
Of course.
And it's not beyond reproach. You have worked with certain directors.
Absolutely.
And after a certain point of time, either you feel that director doesn't bring value to your life and business, or the director feels you don't bring value to his life
Absolutely.
or her life, her career, whatever, right?
Absolutely.
Then it's Moses, yeah.
It's a
I mean,
circle of life.
are you saying that I don't have that choice with Verma?
Yeah, that's what
Because
he's
I'm
into.
married to him?
Yeah.
No, no.
No food.
Sneha, to further clarify, it's not
Oh,
about
Verma
the
has no
marriage.
choice.
It's about me and a director being without reproach. The fact that we have to continue to work with each other, otherwise we fail.
No, not necessarily.
It's not.
Not necessarily.
no,
So I'll
That's the
tell
point
you.
I was trying to make.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
in our case, we have buffers, right? So when I'm really pissed off with him or he's probably pissed off with me, I have other producers who are in the scene who will pander to his shit. I don't have to. So I've made my point clear and I've said, look, sorry, but can't. And then he's probably upset about it. But I don't have to keep having that war ongoing. I can take a backseat and say, okay, if this is how you want it done, please get it done. But so there is some amount of give and take and understanding or whatever. But you leave that shit at work and you come back home and it's a completely different scene. So we're all play acting as we go along, and it's fine. Because the thing is, work is work. For the longest time, a lot of people didn't know we were married, because that's not how we conduct ourselves at work. We bring our expertise on the table and we do what we're supposed to. I mean, there's
And I think a lot of you have more than one director on your panel.
Yeah.
And different directors are different animals. So are you same, or you deal with each director in a very different way? Or how do you adapt?
I think we have to.
Of course, you have to.
I think
have to,
it's,
and
absolutely
further-
have to.
but
And yet there is some element of ourselves that needs to stay intact.
I think your personality would, or rather what you put out there does change, even if your DNA doesn't. But how you deal with how much handholding each director requires is completely different.
And also there's styles of operation.
completely,
Yeah.
completely. And how each person likes to hear or know is very different. So, with some you can directly say what you want to say. With some, you have to mollycoddle and work around the whole system to try and bring the same point across the table. But of course, you have to keep changing as you move along.
My setup is completely different from everybody here. They all have somebody who's permanent director in their life, 1, 2, 3,
Correct,
4.
correct.
I have nobody. I am working on every job with a different guy. International, hardly Indian, but mostly international. And it's transactional, as you said. But then, right from the first conversation that you have with the guy, you need to gel and know, okay, this is working or it's not going to work. 95% of the times, it's 100% like a house on fire. You work perfectly well. The director sends me out his requirements. He hardly changes it. I have to walk up to him and say, listen, boss, you gave me a requirement. I've quoted for it. But if you need to get out of this, don't feel guilty about it. Tell me and we'll manage.
But Bilu, how do you interact with somebody like a fresh director who you've never worked with in the past, by just sheerly looking at the showreel, or you're able to read more now? Or is that a trick? Is there a knack to it?
A showreel at the moment is what I think everybody would know is really deceptive. People are putting in somebody else's work.
Correct.
I've just done 2 shots on this, but I'm showing it as my own film. So I don't go with the showreel at all. I need to have a conversation with the director. I need to check with 2 other people who have worked with him to find out what kind of guy he is. And that's only the way it goes. The showreel could be very bad, but the guy is good and he's got a good treatment note and he thinks he's going to do a good job of it. I go with it.
So you need the Shadi wali auntie in
Your
between versus the online.
Yeah, it is a short term, but whatever.
your job, we just discussed 23 years back. Vicky Turpin was a
Correct.
DP.
Yes, she turned director
She was a
for that.
DP,
that
and
one,
I
yeah.
got approached by the agency and said, we have this, we need to shoot in Australia, we need a foreigner to do it, can you get somebody? And I had been shooting with Vicky, you shot with Vicky. I've been shooting a lot with Vicky those days, and I just said, Vicky, you can direct it. She says, no. I said, yes, Vicky, you can. She said, will you be with me? I said, yes. Okay, let's go do it. And that was the first job. And she did a brilliant job
Oh,
of it.
brilliant.
So if I had to go looking for Vicky Showreel as a director and come to you with it would not have happened. I just picked up the
So
phone.
you're taking a punt, obviously.
You're taking a punt, but you're taking a great gamble, a great punt where you know that, yes, this person's going to deliver.
Cool. So, which brings us to the next subject. I'm sure a lot of young people are watching this. So, the next topic which I want to talk about is young talent. I'm not necessarily saying young directors, it could be young producers, young crew members, ADs, whoever. What's your take on that? How much has it changed? What do you see different in them? Because I think all of them would want to make their mark. So they would love to know what is it that you see or seek in them. I mean, whoever wants to go for, let's go with Dharam.
I mean, it's a bit philosophical, but
Sure.
I think production is more an instinct rather than just managing the money or getting something done in some time. And that instinct is, you can sense it in a few people, young, old, whatever, right? And most of the people whom we've worked with cross roles, not just producers, but ADs or whatever. And you can see them grow. People who have that instinct of figuring out this or forecasting something or something like that. So I think that's always been an interesting approach. And we work actually with a lot of people who don't have experience. You know, ADs who've become editors and third ADs who are now first ADs and so many things like that. And we like that culture because we've also, between me and Vijay, we've also are upstarts of sorts. We came from the outside in. We were from the agency world, not from the production world. So we learned, we got our hands dirty and we learned everything on our own, you know. We like working with people who think like that, you know,
So you
young
like
kids.
straight away throw them in the deep end of the pool?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's the best way
Give them
to...
far more bigger
Oh
responsibilities
yeah,
on day one.
I think that's the only way to, because we've, in the agency world also, that's the way we've learned, right? Across departments. So I think it's human nature, right? I mean, under pressure, how do you perform is what really brings out your true character of sorts in terms of whether you have it or not.
So it is a huge risk in some sense, right?
It is. You go through people sometimes, right? So you do the churn, but the few people that you get, you know that,
They are like
you know, they are
struck gold,
keepers.
yeah.
And the kind of value
Has a
addition
different
that,
joy, absolutely.
yeah, that they bring to the project is completely different. You know, we worked with a lot of agency creatives who've become ADs and editors and directors and so on and so forth. So it's absolutely a new ground, which is interesting because you don't have preconceived notions of I'm only a first, I'm not a second, I will come only like 4 days before the shoot and where is the PPM docket. I'm sure there is a place for all of that. There is, but we choose to work with people who don't think like that. Bit of, that's at least, that's how we know to do things, you know.
Priyanka?
I also have a problem with the kind of people he's also talking about, where you know, like she said, you know, when we used to do production back in the day, even as an AD,
Get your hands
there
dirty.
was no
Yeah.
like I was not like
Exactly.
just like even as a first AD, I did everything. It was not like I'm just coming to do your scheduling and I'm saying. You know, action and running the set. This whole thing of job description has really kind of, I think, in
Limited.
my opinion,
Put people in slots like, hey, mera job nahi hai, ye mera job hai.
yeah, and now people are just also they're just like they think this is their job and this is not their job and they will only do this, and then they also charge a lot of money. They don't give any time to the project.
Exactly.
So it's a little annoying overall, and I think a lot of the new lot now, because they're seeing this work culture, they are kind of that whole way of working only is missing, you know, where everybody just wanted to get their hands dirty, they wanted to do everything, they wanted to learn. I have DAs coming telling me I won't do post, but I'm like, but if you want to be a director, then
Yeah, wouldn't you want
would
to
you
be...
not want to learn post? Like, what do you think you're going to do, you know, at that when you actually do direct a film?
But,
So
but
it's a
they,
little
on their own, they are not interested in going to the post?
Yeah. It's too
yeah,
boring.
Oh God.
yeah,
And too
we've
much
had
work. And
that.
most of them, I mean, I've had people who come and said that my parents are saying, why am I working on Saturday, Sunday? And like at 21, your parents are actually asking you, why are you working on Saturday, Sunday? Are you fucking out of your mind? But yeah, that's what it is. I actually wouldn't go the same route as Dharam, as he's benevolent in that sense with youngsters. I feel that to each his own, in the sense, if he or she wants to make their mark in the industry, they need to give a certain amount of time and effort and prove their loyalty to the work. If they are, then they're worth my time. Otherwise, they're not worth my time. So they can continue coming in and going out, and the churn continues. I'll put in the effort as far as putting them in the deep end is concerned. You put them in the deep end, but you keep a check on them because, like you rightly pointed out, that the risk associated with this is too much. There's too much money
there's too
riding
much
on
money
it.
riding
There
on
is too little time. So if a newcomer does not do a follow-up on casting or this or that, the repercussion is huge. The loss of face is huge. So you can't really blindsidedly give them that level of responsibility and said, put them in the deep and say, "Kar rahe,
But
kar rahe."
earlier, there used to be a practice where, you build somebody's reel. So you make like what you used to call like showreel ad. It's not an ad which is commissioned or anything like that. So you invest in them. A lot of that is happening much lesser right now. Is it because of the attitude of the young or the aptitude or what is it like?
It's a two-way street, right? I mean, I'll invest in a director if the director invests in me or invest time. That this whole freelance, way of working is people like nobody has patience. Nobody wants to stick around in a production house. Nobody wants to wait,
Correct.
for your reel to be made. They're like, for if I can't get you a script in 3 months, they'll be like, oh, but I can't like, hang around with you. I'm getting a script from this person, that person, this person. So I'm like, okay, then go. So it's a two-way street, right? It's not like we are happy to invest in young talent, but are they willing to
So
wait
the,
it
the, the
out?
whole freelance director trend is a little.
The whole freelance world is a bit of a questionable thing in that sense. But I think what the other thing I would agree with her is that if you put in money into a new director to make that film, actually, how many films do you need to make before you get recognized by an agency? Earlier, there was a time, say 15, 20 years back, where you needed to do about maximum 3 or 4 films, which are reasonably good enough to establish that you know your craft. People in the agency or whoever else knew how to judge कि ये पैसा नहीं डाला है फिल्म में लेकिन this person knows his or her craft. Today, no matter what happens, every job is only judged for its last job. You don't go back to the reel for everything else. So in that sense, how many films are you going to sponsor for somebody else? There is no guarantee that even after the 50th film, your 51st film is going to be a good budget film. No, it's there only. So then it's not worth your investment.
It's such a strange thing that most of the freelance directors come aspiring to be one of these superstars who are already there in your. So they want to learn under them. At the same time, they don't want to stay committed. Like Anand, what's your you've had more constant people, and is there a reluctance to get them on board?
I've never worked with freelance directors because of that conversation we had some time back. Because I think relationship with the director is important, and that can only happen over time. But we do work with a large number of freelancers otherwise, the rest of the crew, ADs and DAs, and because in Bombay, I've found that it's a better way to work. You don't have the pressure of a large organization with big overheads forcing you to do work that you necessarily don't want to, sometimes don't want to do. And over time, if you handpick the freelancers that you work with, there are lots of people who are extremely professional, who do just what the job is expected. I mean, what's expected of them, but they do it well, and you finish the job and move on. So we don't really take on a lot of young ADs, etc., who we train up. But I mean, I agree with this thing about them not being involved in production to the level that we were used to. But that's I think times have changed. We can't really blame them for that. But I see a lot of young kids with skills otherwise. They could format a pitch deck for you,
Yeah.
or they
They're
can
more technically
things that you never knew that
up to speed.
they
Yeah.
could do. So
Yeah, but you find very few original thinkers.
Yeah.
So Google is what they're
Too much
going
of
to.
cinema influence.
Yeah, I mean, they're not sitting down and thinking about a film, and no original stuff is coming. It's very easy for anyone to open a computer and reference, and now AI is, of course, going to make it even more sort of templatized. So that is one problem. Also, I think post-COVID, so we had put out an ad saying that we are looking to hire, because in a city like Bangalore, you don't really get too many freelance talent, right?
Correct,
So
correct.
we end up getting them, training them, all of that. And then, of course, the lure is Bombay. So they eventually
So do you
leave.
feel cheated at that time?
Not really. I think everyone needs to at some point. And mostly for us, they go when we are also ready to let them go. So it works out perfectly well. And I think, I mean, everyone's journey is their own. You can't hold on to people beyond a point. Of course, you feel sad because you've trained them and you've seen them grow. And I do believe in a lot of autonomy, like because everyone works in their own style and they bring something to the table. You have to give them room, so they can make mistakes. But the problem is, so we put out an ad saying that we're looking for people. We got like 600 applications.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
And it was, so if you look at the resume, everyone has director, editor, music director, all of these. So it's some template and they've just basically.
But they won't go for post.
So they're all already directors and but they're freshers. They have nothing to show for it except, whatever. And it's very difficult then to sort of sift out and say who has actually done the work. Then you go through that and you say, okay, I don't mind.
The process itself is quite.
It's very difficult. And then we got a bunch of them. We said, for the first time, let's pay these guys, and let's just see if we can train them. There's not one, maybe one we retained from that lot. We hired 6 who we decided to pay and hire. The kinds of problems we had, like, I don't even want to go there, but
Just say one, like quick.
mental health, right, is a big issue. So if they're very easily burdened by a little extra work, or if they have to come on weekends. I've had people say, I can't come today because I have to wash my clothes. Like, we never thought of saying those things to our bosses.
What is that? Putting feathers in the.
Right? So, manage it, right? That's your life. And I get that you have to wash clothes, and of course, please
People
wash
have
your
become a
clothes.
little more
Don't come to
fragile
work.
and glass dollish.
She didn't say wear feathers. She said use feathers for marble painting.
Okay, yeah.
Very categorical about that.
Yeah, so I think they're far more touchy about things that,
You can't even scold them anymore.
You can't say anything because you are
Just
going to
imagine
upset.
Cyrus saying something.
It's going back to where you started from. You producers make too much of money. So everybody who's getting into this line now is so impatient. They look at whoever's at the top and they think, I won't be that.
It goes back to the same names,
Yeah.
Honestly, we also as writers, we would love to collaborate with young writers also because of let me put it frank, budgets. You've got sometimes a very less budget, but the nature of the script, what you've written is just like 2-3 people talking in a room for that sense. But you are obviously looking for a young talent who can pull it off with good sensibilities, and if they are trained by veterans out there, it would be great.
I have had a couple of directors who've been given local DAs, and one of them sacked his DA on the first night. He called me back and says, I suggest you don't call him tomorrow morning. I said, what happened? And he says, no, just a simple conversation. And all the DA can tell me is that he admires me, he wants to be me, he wants to travel business class, he wants to stay at the Taj Land's End, and he wants to get such kind of a per diem. He says he's not interested in working. He just wants to take over my position.
God.
So that's, everybody sitting on this table is not somebody who became a producer on day one. They've all worked through the, he's been flirting, she's worked as a stylist, Sneha's worked as an agency producer. So all of us have
worked like a dog.
Really worked, got our stripes, and then gone on to what we are. But these guys who are coming in today, third AD one day, DA the next, and the next job, they won't be first ADs. Because maybe the industry is expanding so fast, there's so many production houses opening up.
Yeah,
that
there's dearth of them.
How many years it took you to be a CD in an agency? Today,
a CD is like just...
AVPs are somebody who spent only 3 years in the business.
A CD is a position given to just not let him go. Yeah, I'm quitting. Okay, take CD.
So it's impatience, it's just the way it's expanded, and people just want to move up and be the top man on the third or the fourth day. They don't want to see that how many years that guy is actually spent to get up there.
And we have to tiptoe around them all the time. It's very difficult. You can't speak your mind.
Yeah.
So really, I think
watch your words
some of the job is like I'm more of a counselor now than anything else. Okay, sit with me. What can we do? How are you? What are you feeling today? Have you eaten? Because there's a lot of other stuff that's going on. Are you having a bad relationship? And you want to say...
So your role is morphed into something else.
Yeah, and you want to say, dump the guy, but you can't say that. So it is, I think, everything's sort of blurring, it's not work, and they're bringing all of the other crap into this, and then this suffers. They don't realize that if you have to go after becoming somebody tomorrow, it requires patience, it requires hard work, it requires learning from everyone else, and those things are missing. I think post-COVID, definitely. The other thing I always say is, like, I always hire kids from small towns. Like, I feel they're hungry
It's a great,
Yeah.
and
No,
thirsty.
it's a great.
Yeah, because they have to make it work. They're coming to a
Yeah,
big
yeah.
city. They have to, pay rent. They have to send money back home.
Absolutely.
They are really hungry. In the first 3 months, they don't look advertising, they don't have the swag. But in 3 months, they've picked the lingo. They're
Yeah.
looking great. And they are hungry to prove themselves. So they start to elbow everyone out of the room. And those guys are given the opportunity. Because you can see it.
I'm from a small village. I know where my next job is. I'm headed for Nirvana. That's where I go.
Yeah, because otherwise, like, and I really fear this for our own kids, because you wake up, you're born into luxury, you have a car that will drop you, someone is making your bed, food is there, so everything is at your beck and call.
No names taken, but I've had first ADs and second ADs who walk into the office to start a job at 11 o'clock, and at 10:55 the bell has rung, and the guy's out there because Madam ka coffee aa gaya. So they leave home, they order a coffee to be delivered on production cost, and they want the coffee to be waiting on the table by that they come back to open their laptops. But that's something
please
which
edit this because procurement will cut more money.
How
But
many
that's-
Starbucks coffees did you order?
But that's something which when we were working,
Oh no, we are not allowed.
we
all
never
that.
saw it.
We were given bus tickets.
Yeah.
These
Plastic
bottles of
and
water
tape.
which now come onto a set, we never had them.
Yeah, they used to be put
We-
under lock and key.
We never had a bottle of water given to us. Right now, these guys need the bottles with the names on it, kept aside, spot boy coming, serving. They want to have a A crew, B crew, C crew. No, they won't eat this, they'll eat. We never saw it. There's a Traj canteen, we were just making food and you just had to go
I
fill your
mean,
plate and
it
eat
does sound like a crib session, but honestly,
No, it's a crib. It's a crib. You can't help it. You have to just glorify
it is
everything.
a lot of
Yeah.
this. But there are some good ones.
Of course.
Of
there
course.
are.
There are
There
some
always
Nobody's
will be
denying
good
that.
ones.
And
As Sneha said.
But it takes a lot of effort
does.
now to discover them
It
than
does.
ever before, I guess.
They're
But I
few
think
and
the
far
thing
between.
that worked, at least for us, is everybody has this illusion that मेरे director बनना है बस. सबको director बनना
That
है.
comes to the next question. How many of them come to become producers?
very few.
Nobody.
Exactly.
I've hardly seen any young or new producers. Everybody is there to go on a. Is it become unattractive? Is it non-glam? What's it? Or do they not even consider it? Is there?
It's a lot of headache.
It's the first thing that you
It's
said,
a
no,
lot
that
It's
nobody
a lot of-
celebrates
It's also
it.
a lot,
You
lot
know.
of money in some sense, right?
No,
I mean,
but
it's
then
also a
for
lot
them,
of.
they look at it.
Having worked a lot internationally, the first AD for me is always somebody whose next step is to be a producer.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, very rare that is.
He starts off his day by telling me that I start shoot at this time, I finish at this time so that you don't pay overtime. I call for lunch at this time so that they don't take a no break money. So that's what a first AD does. Here, the first AD doesn't give a damn.
no idea.
Only
They
people
don't
who I
even have an
think who go into production are from client servicing from agencies. Otherwise, nobody comes through the production house to become.
They also want to come here because they have carried the check to the producer, so they know what the check is, so they want to get it for themselves next.
So how do you find young producers? Yeah.
You
There
train
are a
from
few
within.
that do
Yeah.
send you stuff.
We
and-
don't find them. The agency and the clients who want to save their money find them and say, "Chal, Delhi produce kar."
No, I think producers will come out of collateral damage. And they don't want to become
By
anything else. They'll
accident.
become, yeah, by accident. Then they'll become.
चलो
this.
डायरेक्टर नहीं बना ये बना नहीं बना चलो प्रोड्यूसर बन
I
जाते
want to
हैं.
reference what Sneha and Priyanka said. I mean, they were directors.
Yeah.
But
And they chose this. That means that they found this
and
even
I-
more
and I
attractive in
think-
some sense.
And I came to India to want to be a director. But I think when you do all these different aspects and you've gone through the motions and you're full time in a place and you've really got your hands dirty and you have seen what a director brings to the table, what kind of a life he or she lives, and you've known enough about a producer, you make choices. They made choices. And honestly, there are people, there are 24, 25, 26-year-olds who say, sure, it would be very glamorous to be top billing as director, but I think my value can be added as a producer, I had a 27-year-old who came and told me, directors come with a shelf life. Producers can possibly be immortal. You know, and I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. It's from Bob Evans, but it's pretty cool. But so the more you have freelancers, the less I think the opportunity of people to really groom themselves and work towards becoming producers.
Yeah. Also, producers are a tough lot because, meaning they have to be tactful, right?
I also think they're a very modest lot.
No, we have to unleash them on the agency. They have to communicate with them. So many skills that people skills. How do you deal with a tough situation? Do you have the ability to sort of manage things? You know, that everything is going wrong every minute. So are you calm enough to be able to, take it? Can you
This
take the
fantastic
stress?
ability to predict fuck ups.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
can you
and some people
manage
enjoy,
egos?
like you guys.
plan B?
You loved
We love our
it.
job.
You loved that crush.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody likes it anymore.
No, like Billu said, we like the fact that in the morning you wake up with a problem. By the time you go to sleep, you solve that problem. Now you can sleep.
And wake up with the next.
Next
but
one,
that
next
said,
problem, next day. It gives us immense joy to do that.
So I don't like stress. Honestly, it's not my thing. But I just feel that these are not very difficult things for people to sort of align with. You can learn how to be a producer, like you can learn. These are not very difficult things. But you have to make up your mind that that's what you want to do. And then you learn on the job and you give it your 100%. You can drop out of it at any point. But unless you give it that time, how can you become anything of value, right? So,
I think that would hold true in everything, no?
Hold true in everything.
Yeah, whether it's
Yeah.
a director,
Cricketers, you look at
producer,
anybody's lives. Anyone who's made it big has put in that time, effort, money, whatever it is. So you can't bypass this.
Yeah.
There's no
But yeah,
T20.
coming back to your point, it is an issue. Nobody wants to voluntarily become
a producer, yeah.
a producer. It is an issue, whether you like it or not. They
We've
stumble
got, a
upon.
PR, we've got a PR issue. man.
They stumble
Yeah,
upon
I
becoming
guess so.
a
I think there's a
producer.
perception issue also that producer means बहुत stress है, बहुत load है, ये है, non-creative है.
कि मैं
There are a lot
creative
of
नहीं
like
हूँ तो मैं
perceptions
producer
like
हूँ.
this
It's
which
more
have.
than anything else, a non-creative part of it. They want to look creative, they want to sound creative,
Yeah,
and they think producer क्या है, तो check ही sign करने हैं. But they don't understand how tough the job is.
It's the most creative side of.
Actually,
Somebody
for
like-
most of my life, my best friends did not know, so what does a producer do? तो मैं बोला तू दारू पीना है यार. So don't ask me this fucking question.
There was a trainee on a shoot. A trainee was there, and I think he had come for the shoot, like at the first shoot or whatever. So I was hanging out there, and I was asking everyone, okay, what time are we doing lunch? Make sure it's all. So he walks up to me and he says, "Are you like the catering person?"
Oh God.
So I said, "Yeah, actually, that's my job."
But I think what most people who don't know, at least youngsters who have not worked on the job, is in my own experience, I have most of the time seen, well, the director has a vision, it's the producer who is able to recommend the right crew for it. They have scanned, they've got that intuitive knowledge of this guy is good for that, that guy. That is obviously a big part of the creative side of the job. I don't think directors can have the stamina to go through, stylists and this and that.
But Ramsam, in-house, people see that.
Yes.
Yes.
And they see it very obviously. They see a Sneha saying, no, wrong DP, I think it should be this one, for example, right? And then that person sees and says, okay, this is a very clear role. This is a very real skill set that is being brought. And I think that makes you want to be a producer.
Yeah.
If you choose to.
It's like a matrix, no? You need to fit all the blocks in the right place for the job to work. Otherwise, you'll keep hitting a wall
Yeah,
again
and
and
as
again.
EPs, I think you can't have everything come to your table for you to sign off on, right? You trust your team members to take certain calls, and when they are in trouble, they will come to you. I mean, at least that's
how the people can identify which is the time they should come to you
The
for.
second rung
Yeah.
is not there.
Yeah, so you have to see in 23 years of running a production house, somewhere you have to make sure that the machine is well oiled. It has to run with or without you. I'm not an indispensable commodity. Tomorrow, if I'm not there, the company will run. I have to have that trust that I've built something of value, that there will be people who will be able to manage it. Good, bad, ugly, we don't know. But hopefully you've created something of value. There are things that you have brought into this system which work. You stand for something. I mean, that's how I see it, right? So people who work with you have to imbibe those values. They have to learn from you in that regard, right? You can't reinvent the wheel on every job that comes to you, right? There's some things are templatized, and That's the value that you bring to the table. I mean, like, I think we were talking about this earlier, how do agencies perceive production houses? Like, if they go to Loudmouth, what are they going there for? Is it only Akash?
Yeah.
You know, you have two other directors. Is it Priyanka? Do they know that she will back them up no matter what? You know, so what are those things? Like you say, Tata stands for trust. What does Kokoi stand for? You know, those are questions we have to ask ourselves.
I
Are you
think
saying it's different?
You tell us what you stand for.
Money.
No, I think because for anybody who's not worked with that production house, the showreel becomes the only window to what that production house is. So maybe it is time to do not PR exactly, but to put it out there.
I
for
think
people
that's
to know.
changing a lot. That's changing a lot. Still, at a certain level, there's still certain clients who would look at it and say, I want to go to so and so production house because I know they'll deliver. You know, whether it's a producer or it's a whole setup or it's a director, whatever. But the client says they will deliver. A procurement guy will come and say, oh, he's 50% more than others. He says, I don't care. I will pay this money because I know what I want, I'm going to get from so and so.
वो client का number message
But does that happen? कि वो exactly
No, but
मुझे
it's
भी
so,
चाहिए.
so with Billu, right? I mean, the one thing we
think
know
you're the
about
only
him as a producer is that people will go to him because whatever the size of the problem, however small, however large, he has a reputation. He comes on, like, he will solve it for you.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of clients believe, and people who've known him and have worked with him, know that you can take any size of problem and Billu will solve it if he can. And he will, if he gives his word, he will do it.
That's just trust.
So
Yeah.
that's trust.
So it's a trust which producers are getting now. You know, previously could be directors are getting the work in, but right now we reached a stage where a producer can pull in the work. And that's something which is good, which is happening, which is
Because it's a
changing the
very
industry.
clear value add.
Yeah, there's a clear value add now. So it's not being a producer is a bad idea. It's a very good thing. And I think the youngsters need to look at it as a.
So I want to ask
As an option.
a different question now. Maybe Swada, you can start. Like, is there something different with the way women think as producers than men, or is there? It's just is there a perspective? Is there some?
No, I think for women, it's instinctively we can take more stress than men can.
Oh, yeah.
Multitask.
Multitaskers.
And we can
Oh, yeah.
multitask.
For sure.
Do you all agree? Yeah. I mean,
Hundred
they seem to be
percent.
much more calmer and more polite or whatever. I mean, they don't show it.
At an instinct level, men fail. You know,
Yeah.
because instinctively they can organize better. It's DNA. That's
at
how
a
it
politeness
is.
level, men fail.
Huh?
At a politeness level, men fail.
Correct.
Like,
तो है.
is there some anecdote or anything that you
No,
can
it's
cite?
like how today's generation can, you don't have to train them. They know how to work around your computers or any new app. It's same thing. Women are just instinctive. They can put things multitask, and they can keep people together. And I guess that's the.
I think they also like.
Yeah,
they
it's
look at the
being a
softer
producer
things.
is not rocket science. It's common sense.
Yeah.
You need to have common sense. That's it.
Yeah, and I'll add to common sense. You need to have compassion.
Yes.
So I think a lot of the times what I bring to the table is that I am the mother in my organization. And I treat everyone like with the love that a child needs, right? Okay, you're having a bad day. How can we solve it? And I think that goes a long way because they know that you have your back and you are as invested.
And they therefore will be a little more giving to the case.
So I think women have the ability to sort of bring people together, keep them there, understand their problems. I have, women in my accounts team who have kids' exams, they want to leave at 4 o'clock. I'll never say no. My in-laws have come, I need to cook, I need to do. Because you understand that, right? You're trying to balance so many things. But does that mean that I'll let you slack? No, I won't. I expect that tomorrow when everyone's gone and you have free time, you will put in that extra if required. And that goes a long way because they know that they will not let you down.
Yeah.
Right? So you make allowances for it. It's not all.
And I also think small things. I think the wrap party or one of these things, it was somebody's birthday and, a cake comes and somebody's thought of it and most likely they give some attention to these soft things which kind of goes.
Yeah, the boys don't notice those
No,
things.
they don't care. They want to go get drunk.
Yeah. So for sure, I think women have a lot that they bring to the table. Just
I for
intuitively.
one, have never hired a guy.
Yeah.
All my producers have always been females, and that's a given rule in our office that we only hire females, we don't hire men.
And why? What is the advantage that you see?
The efficiency they bring in, the whole thing of it being a family and
heart.
try and keep the whole production together and the heart into it. What women are bringing in is a lot more than what I've seen boys bring in. And I've seen my female producers actually mothering the young males who come in as first ADs, second ADs, or PAs. They actually mother them and they actually can come and tell me, so and so has a problem.
Awesome.
Don't talk loudly to him, don't be rude to him, be nice to him. So they understand what's happening in the whole unit.
And we're very observant.
And they're very
we
observant.
observe a lot.
Yeah, they observe a lot.
So I
so
think,
they can,
you know, for
you
us,
can read the
yeah,
inside,
it's
yeah.
intuition.
That said,
and-
we've had some women producers who are also
Absolutely.
toughies.
So sure, there are exceptions.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a fair representation in the gender in this industry?
Of course, you'd love to see a lot more. I think this panel has 3 women, which is great. Women producers are definitely quite a few.
Yeah.
But we'd love to see them come into fields like cinematography, direction, a lot more representation required, you know.
But on a set, on an average set, you see a lot of women.
Yeah, yeah.
But they mostly belong to a few departments. Like,
That's
yeah,
right.
you're saying like
Yeah.
the cinematography.
Costume, makeup.
Yeah, it's mostly in those areas. Like
Design.
I think recently, I think Dalbir or someone had put out one list of all the women directors,
Yes.
which is quite
That's
shocking.
right,
It was nice
50.
actually.
50,
And I didn't
quite
know
a
that
few.
there are quite a few. There are quite
Yeah.
a few as against like about like 8 years back,
Of course.
which is way lesser.
was Dalbir's name on top of it? No.
No.
Yeah, but the needle has moved very slowly, yeah.
Yeah, it has moved very.
But women like Afshan, Neha, you know, you have Anna and a few, Misha. There are some really good women directors and they deserve to be at this table. You know, they're doing some phenomenal work, but we need a lot more.
Yeah, certainly. Like I had done with Gauri, that Tanishq remarriage. I think they bring such tiny things like you guys must have all seen the Tanishq remarriage ad, but just to point out what a woman can bring a director, there was a scene, so it's a remarriage. So she's already got a kid and now she walks to the mandap with the kid. Now whether the kid should be in the front or the kid should be beside her or should she carry the kid is a big decision. I mean, nobody would have thought of it. I mean, okay, she's coming with the kid. But there's a lot of thought, okay, if the girl goes front, that means she is leading the mom. Versus if she is taking, she is like, so we just kept it beside, you know, but the fact that you even thought about it itself is a,
Yeah, the softer parts.
yeah,
definitely.
it just kind of escapes.
But I think we're now seeing brands that like ask for female directors and they want.
I also find that pretty odd because mostly brands ask for women directors for women-centric subjects. But it shouldn't be, right?
So there is some amount of tokenism.
Yeah.
But I think that is required because that's the only way you bridge the gap.
Exactly.
Right? Because we are talking about a very unequal platform right now.
Correct.
So because women have other issues, yeah, getting home on time or whatever. I mean, you're answerable to society. You have to at some point, like even me as a mother, at some point I did take a pause. You know, your career is on hold. There's so many women who choose not to be married or not to have kids because what happens to your career is it does get
No,
derailed.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the genre of advertising which come to women.
Yeah.
Like you trust a lot of men with a very women-oriented subject. Like Vinil does a lot of the soft or Prasun or they do. Similarly, if what is perceived like a
That's in your
very
hands,
male
dude.
thing, like
That-
for example,
that you
So
are
will honestly an agency perception.
And
Yeah,
sometimes
it's
a
an
client.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I see it break. Sorry, go.
No, go for it.
But I see it breaking. Like I remember Afsha did a fantastic Pulsar commercial.
Yeah,
yeah,
fabulous.
what a
exactly.
commercial,
That's my point.
right?
Yeah.
And now I've worked as servicing on Bajaj Auto for donkey's years, right? And I was so happy to see, right? It's a completely different perspective,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, that's fantastic. That's what we need as a collective to push
But
things
yeah,
forward.
we've also had instances where, like an Amul Macho underwear banyan,
Correct.
and you'll be like, agency will be, कि नहीं यार वो female director, it'll be uncomfortable. Fuck, but you had
No,
male directors who
doing
did
this shit,
sanitary
correct.
pads for fucking 20 years. Nobody said, why the fuck are male directors doing sanitary pads? So now suddenly, why are you saying female directors can't do Lux Cozy or Amul Macho or whatever the fuck?
Somebody has to just sort of bell the
Yeah,
cat.
push
I think.
back,
It's
you have to
just
push back, and then
pushing
they,
back.
हाँ,
कि यार
ठीक
ये
है.
कुछ भी बोल रहे हो
Yeah,
तुम.
yeah.
But a lot of the time, this educating people is a very big part of our jobs. You
Yeah,
know?
but you must.
Yeah.
The thing is
Yeah,
that
yeah,
we
yeah.
must do that.
Also, like things like we didn't discuss, but I don't know, I want to ask everybody else, like legal contracts. I find them so lopsided, man. Like, it's like you're signing your life
Who
off.
does legal contracts? What?
Clients.
All of them do.
All of them
All
do.
of them
by
do
now.
now.
Yeah, you're
And
lucky
it's
if
a
you
fight.
haven't done.
Of course.
All
It's
of
a
them
fight
do.
every
Dharam
Pretty
doesn't
much
sign
everybody.
legal contracts.
You couldn't have done a film without signing
Yeah.
a contract.
Somebody's reading it in your office, or you're not reading it.
I don't think you know
No,
about
there's
it.
no.
Do you even read the PO that comes into you?
No, PO, of course.
That's right. That's writing your life off.
Yeah, I know that. But like a proper agreement and
Sneha, I used to hate them as well because it would be like verbose shit, where you have to read the fine print. But I think legal contracts are good because
Yeah.
they sort of make the playing field a bit more
They're
equitable.
good. I'm not
you know?
disputing that they're good.
No.
They're lopsided.
No, let me explain. What I think is good is it gives you an opportunity to push back in a formal setting. So now I'm not just saying no to you as a client, but now you have given me a 32-page document and I'm not okay with all these clauses, and my lawyers are going to, mark it up and send it to you. And so, there's engagement. And I sort of like it. I like it because it helps it make it a
Yeah,
bit more
I agree with
equal.
with what
Yeah.
Khalil says, because it gives you the platform to make it equal. That now they cannot go back on their words if they've told you 30 days credit period or on delivery or whatever it may
But
be.
then they never write that in,
Of course they
any
do.
of their
Of course they do.
agreements of 30-day.
No, so do you push
so
back
you-
on?
No, but it's
Of
not
course
just
you do.
payment terms, right? It's about
It's a
rights
payment
and
terms.
it's about
Like
processes and it's about
contract. They clearly write out the terms of payment.
Exactly.
And if it's on the same page as what you are saying, then it's healthy because there's no way they can turn
Yeah,
around.
I'm not saying
Versus somebody
do
else who
no,
just says
you
on
can't
paper.
do away with it. That's fine. But are they open and receptive to the changes? that-
changes. Yeah.
Depends on what you're disputing.
Asking
Because,
for.
for example, IPR, as ASAP, what we did was the first thing that we addressed when we formed the body is that we had consultations with the best lawyers who said IPRs do not belong to the producers, right? It belongs to the person who pays. In a not old world, in a feature film world, yes, the producer is the guy who pays, and hence the IPR belongs to the producer.
Exactly.
In an advertising world, the client pays, so the IPR belongs to the client.
No. But music?
No, one second. There is a certain part of IPR which belongs to the client. There's music is the property of the composer because that's who the author is.
Yes.
The author, whether it's a script writer, so the agency by default, who's the writer, has the IPR of that. Even if the client was to buy it out, it's a lease in perpetuity. Now, these are things which, if you study them, which as an association we keep writing to our members, makes the contracts very simple to read. And
Yeah, why
push
is it
back
written
on.
in that language? Yeah.
It is very easy. It's written in a language which benefits them, but it is not wrong. Correct? And if you get that, if you understand that, it's actually damn easy to go through the rest of it, because really what you're seeking is terms of work, commercials.
So what gets captured in your estimate is what?
They should write it, they don't write it. Most
so
of the
we
times,
push for that.
because there is agency servicing person involved who will also not want to go through the grind of being a participant in this three-way conversation. So that agency servicing person will land up saying, वो sign करना ही पड़ेगा, उसका कोई choice नहीं है. You cannot change anything because he or she does not want to participate in this for lack of being able to read it. But if you have a direct window with the client, it's a very easy solution to it, because they cannot take away something which does not belong to you. Like actually has a clause, not a clause, like a whole separate agreement which talks about music belonging to them, which cannot hold legal water. But when you
Exactly.
tell them that, they're very happy to take that. They know that it's this thing. Whoever signs it, I don't know who the fuck signs it, but whoever signs it is incorrect because it doesn't belong to you. You can't sign it off. It's like saying you go and sell a house which never belonged to you, to somebody else.
So what about international rights?
Yeah, that's where the problem comes in now. There are certain international companies, say for one, who are following a contract which comes out of America, where the rights are completely different from what the law in India allows. So we have had that engagement with where you have to point out to them the stuff that you're asking for, which is okay in America, is not okay in India.
It's not legally permissible in Indian jurisdiction.
Yep.
Simple.
So, but if your work is being aired internationally, IP belongs to agency.
IP always belongs to the client.
Client.
The usage rights
User rights belong to you.
belongs to you.
rights.
So you make
So
a
you
commercial
can-
deal.
So you can charge for
Yes.
that.
Of course you can charge for it.
You have
So
to
when pushes back,
has that
muscle.
is taking those rights.
Is taking, it's a legitimate.
If there wasn't a contract, then it was never spelled out.
It is spelled out now in the contract.
Now it is,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
No,
So
which
now
is
that
fine.
there is a contract, it's
That-
spelled out.
That's fine. So we are happy to look at the contract. But what happens to if they say that I'm doing a film for, say, or whatever it is,
Sure.
but they're now going to air it in 5 countries.
Sure.
As a production house, you've created this asset for them for India. Now they're willing to go take it to wherever else. If it's any other client, you can charge for whichever territory they're airing it in.
In fact, if it's in another country, you can do that.
You can't.
No, you can't.
If
No,
it's
no, so-
UK, it does not expect you to do perpetuity rights.
Yes.
It's the way
only
India has negotiated.
It is only India that is making
sorry,
us do
sorry
that.
guys.
Correct.
Sneha's right on this. Expects you to write your international rights off to
Correct,
them.
correct.
Yes.
And then tells UK that we have the rights.
You
If
pay
there's
for it.
any money change that's going to happen, it's going to happen between and
No, no, no,
okay?
no, no.
Nirvana's getting nothing out
No,
of
no,
it.
no, no, no,
Yes,
no, Bill, that's,
yes.
no. That's separate. I'm saying if Sneha was to do a job for UK and it's a film for them, then the expectation of that deal, on that transaction,
Is only
is
for
rights
that.
for the UK, 12 months.
Correct. That I get. That's straightforward. But in India, the problem is when I'm saying exactly
that's
what
a commercial.
you
Correct. So
That's a
then-
that's a commercial negotiation, right? It's
Again,
equivalent
it's your
of saying
choice
that
because
it's
you
your
are
choice.
giving them a global right.
So
you
yeah.
charge them
That's where it-
accordingly.
that's
whether
what
you
I said.
agree to do it at that cost
So
or no.
I
Sneha,
have
that's
pushed
what-
back.
Yeah.
I have said I will not sign
So
that.
they will not work with you.
But they have made exceptions.
So that's good.
Okay. So that's what I wanted to understand from this table that those, so when
It's-
they
it's
want to be
it's
flexible,
It's not
they
their,
can.
a perpetuity is not their right. It's a negotiation.
Okay.
It is not their right. IP belongs to them, but usage does not belong to them.
So when pushes back on these things, do we try and understand that there is flexibility on all of it?
There is flexibility with everyone. They make exceptions to with certain people
Depending on how
depending
badly
on
they
how-
want you on the job.
exactly.
And Sneha, they make exceptions on a case-to-case basis also, depending on the nature of the job.
Also depending on who that brand manager is. If he really wants to work with a
Yeah, we've
Verma
had
or he
those.
really wants to work with someone, he will make all the
Right.
all the exceptions that are required to be done.
But that happens with every
We've
client.
seen
But
that.
also things like who you should work with in terms of post production, which music director.
Yeah.
is quite-
You know that
Even the studios.
Yeah.
You can only do skin with this studio. You can only do
so
whatever.
that
so.
at
But now
every
that-
stage
that
of
again we push-
battling that.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
So they're
again
giving you
that
the
I push
options.
back.
Same
They're-
here.
They're giving you the options saying that here are the 3 studios you choose who you want to work with. But you turn around and say, no, I want to work with the 4th one.
Yeah.
You have the right to say, they will tell you that, okay, this is what would have cost between these 3
Correct.
studios. This is what we'll give in the budget. Now, if you want to put X over it, you do it.
You want to match it? Match it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
we've
it's
done
for us to work our way around it, basically.
Just by
And
the
not
way,
put it
Dharam,
on.
this is what we do at ASAP.
Yes, I know.
I doubt that you
It's
know.
not that they dictate it to you, they give you a budget. They say, this is how much we have allocated for it. Now you do plus X, plus Y or minus X and go to another studio, we have no issues. As long as you don't come back and tell us that because we said this, that's where the job has gone wrong.
Understood. Yeah.
And there are exceptions. There are certain clients who are putting down 60-day payment terms on the PO.
Oh, yeah.
But when you turn around and tell the brand manager that, no, I want my money immediate, he says, this you sign off and I promise your money immediate. So somehow they pull their strings in their system, how SAP works, how, resources works, whatever.
deliverables are so many now that this whole
Yeah.
thing gets elongated into the next.
Correct. And
you
also,
know?
if they don't pick up the last set of deliverables, then what?
Yeah.
Because you're
And then 60 days after,
after that,
or
last
30 days
deliverable,
after
or
that.
suddenly they'll say they don't need the last 5 seconder. You're fucked.
I don't think you've gone through it now. There's a 16:9 for TV. There's a 9:16. There's a 1:1. There's a square format.
1:1,
There's a
4:5
round
now.
format. There's a format which I can sit on the pot and see, which should be a little different.
Arsehole format,
know?
yeah.
The smallest of jobs, starting a 30 master, 20, 15,
Oh, yeah,
6
that list
seconders.
is psychotic. Yeah. And then the edits, and then the down edits, and then...
No, down edits are
Yeah.
still okay. No, edits are okay. The formats.
Yeah.
There's
It's
7 different
insane.
formats today. Logo on the left, logo on the right.
Right.
Yeah.
All of us here, I think I can talk for them. We guys are open to any youngster who wants to come up to us for guidance, want to talk about it or whatever.
Oh, there was some talk about mentorship, and
Yeah.
but we are still trying to figure out what should that format be. How does it
And
it's
this is-
convenient?
once-
Because I think everybody is all for giving back.
Yeah.
But if we can just work out on those methodologies, and I'm sure this is not the first of the sessions. There are many more to come, and yeah, it's a great initiative that we made a start at least.
Yeah, women
And-
producers. If anyone wants to be a woman producer,
Yeah.
maybe we can
I
take
can't
them
be,
on.
so sorry. I missed that time. Yeah. No, but what Billu says is right. I mean, we always hope that so many young producers who want to start their own production companies, in spite of them having friends even within on this table, you only hear after they've formed the company. They never ask you before they've started the company, because they could learn so much more.
Like how to recover money.
How
is
to,
what-
all kinds of things. What is correct, what is
Yeah.
not correct, how to deal with clients.
You know
to
how
deal
many
with-
times I've called Swadha and Cyrus
That's what ASAP helped.
with my
Exactly.
questions.
Helps us with.
For me, they're my lifeline. If I'm stuck somewhere and if I don't know something and if I want another point of view, I've called you guys so many times because I want to hear that perspective, and I think we're all open to sharing.
Yeah.
We just need to reach out a lot more to each other
Yeah.
if required. And if I don't know, whatever. But I think
And we can always give a reference of some other producer who probably has more knowledge of that,
Yeah,
you know,
of course,
and that's what we do also.
there are times when clients have played us against each other.
Oh, yeah. They have no clue what the camaraderie that you guys share. I mean, everybody knows what's going on, bro.
No, Nirvana is being very tough, but Swadha has agreed to this. I was like, really? Swadha, have you? I've done that many times.
But I continue to play that game, otherwise you won't know these inside
Yeah.
stories. So I want to move to something now. If we are going towards closing this, what still keeps you motivated? And actually, you can use this to tell me something you've done in the recent past, something that really gave you that kicks. Illustrate it with that example, saying, "Dude, this truly like made me satisfied with the job that I'm doing." You can start, Khalil.
I will use an example, but I think what keeps me going is the opportunity to be working with the best, brightest minds and the most ambitious people. I mean, what gives me a kick is to get a call from Rajdeepak Das and say, "Hey, listen, I've got this idea. I've worked with a bunch of directors in the past, but the last time I was, having cocktails with you, you seemed passionate about it. Do you want to explore it?" And all of a sudden, you deep dive. So you're sort of trying to, reinvent, do something new. You're doing very high-end beauty, and then you want to do this. And when you're given that opportunity, and it's a beautiful relationship, and you get to work with phenomenal people, you get to make a fantastic piece of communication,
No
you get
two
to
days
do
are
it
the same.
again. It's energizing, and therefore you want to do more of it, right? It's also the opportunity to constantly work with the best people, the most ambitious people. Because for me and for off-road, there's nothing that gives us more energy than actual ambition, Younger people coming in there saying they want to change the world, they want to change this, they want to bring new ideas. Some of them are original workers, some of them are hard workers. That's what keeps any organization going, period.
I think it's just the spirit of experimenting a lot. A lot means we really push the limit on a lot. We just jump without knowing where we're going to land. And experimenting in all things, technology, whether it is CG or all that entire world, or the kind of people we work with, or the way we want to say the story, it is a multitude of these things. And
So your fascination
with
is
that
in
mindset,
trying to explore the new.
every job, you don't know how you're gonna. It's a puzzle. It's a thing that it's a reward at the end when you when it finally comes together, right? And that is really fascinating. You know?
Anything from your work recently that gave you that
A lot
high?
of stuff we do. We did something for Coca-Cola recently for
Oh,
the
lovely
Bengali
piece.
market, yeah, for the Pujo. And that's one example that it's a tough script to understand on paper, right? Because it's so execution dependent. It's got amalgamation of so many different techniques, and then there is this layer of crazy music on top, and but when it comes together, because you never know these things how they're going to come together. You have an instinct कि इसमें मजा आएगा, but you don't know कि कैसे कब कैसे
So I'm
बनेगा
sure there
ये.
must have been a huge travel from the way the script
A
came
lot,
to.
a lot, right? And actually, I mean, props to the Coke team, props to Gilby that they really took the jump with us. It's the first time we've done a Coke job, and it was very heartening, to see them experimenting with us along the way, right? And it's fun, I mean, because if you approach it like that, then I mean, you still have some excitement left, right, in the process, in the outcome, in those kind of things. So I think that's what sort of keeps us hungry a bit in terms of experimenting, yeah.
Wake up,
Me?
wake up.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's very different from what he's saying. We run a business, but I mean, we're not making semiconductor chips. We're making, it's a creative business. So you're making films. So what keeps you going are the films that you make. As long as you're doing, I mean, when everybody makes bad films, like we all do it, like so. But when you make that
I don't
one
agree.
bad
I don't
film,
agree.
or you, or you make what could have potentially been a good film at the script level turns out shit at the end of it. So, I mean, it gives you sleepless nights when that happens. But the pleasure of actually doing a nice film and doing it consistently is great. I mean, sleep guaranteed. You go back, when you sit back, you're not ashamed of telling your
But
family.
just to explore a little more, like when you say a nice film, is it something that you've never done before, or is it something that you personally, as a genre, you connect with that, or it's a brand that you love, or it's something that you got to explore, cinematically? What is
Yeah,
the high that at this stage that you get?
I don't think it's really about the brand at all. It's about, I mean, you know a great film when it's there. So when it's done, and you know the work that's gone on behind it. And I mean, you go back home, you want to tell your kids about what you did, and you don't want to be ashamed about it. You want to be, yeah. I mean, money is there to be made. We all have to make money, all of that stuff. But be happy with the work that you do. So that I think is pretty much it. I mean, it's nothing else. The day you start doing consistently bad work, then it's time to start the tea shop in Kerala. So,
Yeah.
Sneha?
Yeah, I think so. For me, the thing is, the fear is you don't want to become a factory, right? Anyone can do that. But so recently we had a job that we took up because the brand is an iconic brand, and we said, let's give it our best, right? And it was exciting. The script was exciting. So there was a lot of new learning on it. But the challenges were just not ceasing. So the thing is, right, the challenges are never ending because there's a trust deficit, everything comes as a diktat, right? You can only work with this kind of person, you can only do this here, you can only do this there. You have to sign NDAs with the chaiwala on the road. I mean, there's just way too much protocol, too much of problem. Then there's no money on top of it, and then the money doesn't come to you like how you would normally, it gets spread out over. So there's this challenge after challenge after challenge. And the thing is, right at the beginning, we knew that this is going to be tough. But, my only thing was, let's do this. Let's figure out how we're going to do this. Because if we can handle this level of challenge, then I think we can go out there and do anything. And will I do it again? I don't know. Maybe not on these terms, definitely not. I think I can stand today and say that I'm very proud of myself and my team because despite every single pushback, we held our own. We did not fight, we did not throw tantrums, we
The
said what
challenges kind of become a motivation in a weird way.
in a weird way, right? Because we held our own, we were very dignified through the whole process. We know we put in 300%, right? And we were very proud of what we finally achieved. And it's there for everyone to see. And they know that despite all the angst that was created, we really, I mean, nobody lost their shirt at any point.
Super.
That, I think, was a victory for us. Very tough, but I think what I bring to the table in my organization is dignity. Like, don't treat me bad, I will not treat you bad. I want to start from a place of love for what I do and for a love of humanity. So please respect me and I will respect you in return. And I think that's the only ask I have. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Priyanka.
I kind of just get excited with just good content, and I think as a company we've been trying to establish ourselves. Like we started with doing just one kind of work because every director does kind of get typecast in the work that they start with. And so it's been quite a journey, and I think now we're getting films that we're actually excited by and proud of. Like, I don't think we were not going to get the Google and Mole film, which we got and we won an award for, but we actually got the other one, the parkour film. We did the parkour film, obviously got that went really well. We literally fought with the creative team, and we were like, we want this film, we will do it, just give it to us at whatever budget, whatever, and we were just
But
like, we
was
want to
the
make it
script,
happen.
or was it the challenges that it came along with,
It was
or
the
is it the
script, it
creative
was
team
just
that
the
gave
kind of film it
the
was.
kind of film is what gave you the high?
Yeah, the script, because we don't usually get those kind of scripts. So I think it's just about doing good work and like all kinds of work, and like just being excited by it. That's what keeps you going, right?
So when do you feel that excitement? Like, is it when friends talk about it, or you yourself know,
Like,
or it picks up an award, or
I mean, I
or the
don't
client
think.
loves it?
I mean, I'm not so crazy about the award part of things, but of course, when it gets recognized and when it gets appreciated, and you made a good film at the end of the day, and you're happy with the outcome and the product.
Super.
After so many hundreds of years in industry, I think all that
How old are you?
40 plus, come on, it's
Equal to.
40 years plus in dog life, it's hundreds right now. So nothing at the moment pushes me more than just a challenge. It could be three of the top film stars in industry who will not come at the same time, same day, but putting them all three in the same
You still get
frame.
excited about the Adam Gilchrist
I
Bentley problems.
I still do.
Yeah. Now
I still remember getting a brand new Merc to shoot with Adam Gilchrist. And the moment he's about to sit in the car, the manager, sorry. He's with Audi, you can't use a Merc. Now run getting another Audi TT.
So you get a
So
kick out of these things.
in Adelaide, getting an Audi TT, getting it there, and the moment he's about to open the door, suddenly comes in the safety officer, sorry, he can't go in the traffic, this is not safety. So get in the cops, get in insurance, do all that. So managing to do that in 2 hours before the sun goes down and before these guys need to go back to hotel is the challenge, and that's what really keeps me going at the moment.
You have ulcers?
Yeah.
No,
You,
I don't have
you have
ulcers.
strange pleasures.
I don't have ulcers. The only good thing that's happened to me is I'm not married, so I go to bed with my problems, which everybody else does, but yeah. My problems, I can solve them in the morning and wake up to a fresh morning.
You have a love affair with them. Superb. Swada.
For me, again, like everyone said,
Re-edits
And
and
also-
reshoots. Re-edits and reshoots.
no, so for me, again, to see good content going on air, we like to do quality, not quantity. we are very, very focused on that we'd rather do something properly or not, not take up like 10 things and whatever. But like, again, I'm old school where I have come from the thing. So I love challenges. Even today, before a shoot, I cannot sleep. I'm one of those people who will want to check everything or whatever. So that keeps me going. And I think
So basically, if you made a damn good ad, but you didn't have 2 minutes challenges, I don't think you'll enjoy that.
no, if I
It's
have
not
to
like-
if I have to sit with agency at a shoot,
That itself is a challenge.
damn boring. For me, it's like going and doing stuff. And so that keeps me. And Vinil is the opposite. He hates shoot. He loves PPM and he loves music sessions, but he hates shoot. So,
Yeah, he's perpetually in doubt. He's like, I don't think anything is working.
Exactly,
Dude, no, man, it's all going fine, dude.
so those are, that keeps me going. And of course, in the end of it, the paycheck.
Cyrus,
I think
abusing the agency, I think must be all.
Cyrus, only one dialogue keeps him going: on delivery.
Yeah. No, I think more or less everyone said the same thing. The rocking the boat every now and then is something that keeps us going. Challenges in a project. If you do,
Like, if you use it with one of your recent work, something which comes to your mind?
I think doing new, different work, which is also challenging, is a great place to be. Finally, of course, the proof of the pudding is if you deliver a great film, then that kind of sums it all up. I think for most of us by now, money is secondary. That I think we've made enough in our lives. But having said that, of course, it's the end of the day, the paycheck has to be there. But the challenge is the new and different things that you want to do. In a way, keeps you relevant. It keeps you evolving with time. That's what we're looking for. I think in the recent past, what we saw for Johnson's as well as yesterday, you must have seen MP Tourism. These are two projects I would say were challenging in different ways. One was a very heavy shoot schedule with a different agency that we worked with. So that was, and a different client, a first-time client. So that was challenging. But MP Tourism, for its kind of, it's not a genre that we regularly do. So that becomes challenging. Whatever said and done, if at the end of it, if we deliver something that we are proud of, that's the proof of the pudding. That's what keeps us going.
That keeps you going.
Yeah.
Yeah, so closing thoughts. Fantastic. So if there's one thing, if the topic was can we make advertising great again? Like Bilu said, who said it's not great? I mean,
It is. We're enjoying
should
it.
be.
It's the
I am
best
sure
time
it
that we're
is.
having, yeah?
Yeah.
But if there is one thing, I think anybody can go for this. I mean, whatever spontaneous. If
Good
there's one thing that
ads.
you'd see, if it changed, it would be a better world in advertising, or at least for production.
My take is good ads do matter, and that's really the why we're all here. We love doing what we do, and I think we have lots to be proud of. We've achieved quite good amount of stuff. There's so many producers who are missing on this table.
Yeah, there's so many producers,
Who
there's so
are-
many questions that we have still got, but yeah, I guess
Yeah.
Message it to us.
each
We
one
can write
is
a book.
a open, it's like it'll open up 2 hours of discussion.
No, but it's a great time to be in advertising. We are really enjoying it. We're really having a good time. And we just wish more serious participation and people really looked at being a producer seriously rather than think, I want to be a director or I want to do this or do that. No, be a producer. And then go on to be a director if you want to be.
Yeah, actually,
But
it
learn
opens up all
production
the
first.
windows for you there.
Yeah. Learn production first, see what this is all about, and then do whatever else you want.
Great. Anybody else?
Having gone around the room tonight, I think it's a great time to be a producer. It's also a great time to ask yourselves what's the value that you bring to the table and how you can really build something that is a lot more sustainable, that lasts after we're gone, right? Because otherwise, what would be our contribution?
To the world. Fuck the world.
Just the industry, friends,
Once
family.
I'm gone, I don't care a rat. That.
Don't you want to build a legacy business?
No.
He's already built
Films we
one.
make,
gosh.
that's our,
Yeah, that's right. Anand
the
said
films
that.
we make,
It's
that's
the
our
films we
contribution.
We look at a legacy after done 8 years in the industry.
अभी तू 100 साल अभी और
40 साल और
Honestly
करेंगे,
speaking,
उसके
what
बाद
is the
legacy
good
देखेंगे
deed
यार।
that you've done for you to build a legacy?
Not yet, but I want to.
So
no, so
donate
it's
money
the
to
work, na, Kali.
me. Be a philanthropist.
But it's not going to be anything. You're just going to do nothing
No,
with the
I'm
money.
going
You're
to write
going to burn
about it. I'm going to write about it to
You're
everyone.
going to burn it.
No, I'll buy some bikes. I'll take some street children on a bike
Give him
ride.
some stakes in your gin.
Children on a bike.
Another business. That's
I'm
another
gonna-
business. Huh?
I'm going to use the money to pay for my Uber back home now.
Well, I'll give you a ride home. I'm
sure,
not giving
good
you any money, Bill. Again, you're going to blow it in all sorts of nefarious activities.
It's the work, yaar. What you put out.
Yeah, what
That's the main thing. Now, that's what you'll be known for.
So yeah, so should we call it a wrap?
Yes,
Yes,
please. Thank
please.
you.
Awesome.
Thank
so
you.
thank you so much, and thank you all the good folks at Good Ads Matter for doing this. It's such an awesome start, and hopefully have much more enjoyable sessions.